Yo. How's it going, guys? Biz Natchies. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the frickin' show. Live on YouTube. Emily Danielson, welcome back just welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. How's it going, guys? Happy hump day. We're almost there. But the cycle continues. Every day of your life should be waiting around for Wednesday so that you're halfway through the week, which means you're halfway to the weekend. And then when you get to the weekend, you can drink yourself into a stupor. Did the power go out in your corner of Pennsylvania? It did not, thankfully. Am I good? I am good, baby. I did eat some food, and then I sneezed. Mike? Where'd I get the name Buttersock from? I don't even remember, bro. Somebody says from iCarly, and I kind of wish I could change it. I guess I could change it. Should we change it, guys? Should we move past it? No, it's impossible, right? It's impossible. Work is killing me. Always looking forward to your lives. Thank you, Brian. Good to see you. Sorry about work. We gotta find a way to unwork, to de-work, to get rid of work. Honestly, if I had to start over, I wouldn't know how to do it. I still don't know how to do it. You're gonna see a concert in the theater on Saturday. Interesting. Like a cover band or something like that. The weekend is like every single other day for me. You would just work non-stop. Damn. Anyways, guys, what's new? Tell me something you're excited about. Tell me something you're not excited about. And then I will look at the chat and I'll be like, okay, it's exciting. Let's see what we got. What's the newest stuff going on? I kind of dread going back to the normal 9 to 5 after I'm done truck driving. Really? Why are you going to stop truck driving? Is that something people just do forever? The sun is shining. Been playing Starfield. That's the highlight. Is it good? I heard it was not that good unless it's like getting better. I just applied for a job that I really want. Nice. What's that going to entail? Making dinner for the fam right now. Glad to be here. Hope everyone has had a wonderful Wednesday. Heck yeah. This is a wonderful Wednesday world. I'm excited about exhibiting my artwork. Oh, that'll be sick. What kind of artwork are you going to show off? You're going to see Creed in concert. Let's go, bro. I'm glad they're still alive. Can you take Trump versus the Federal Reserve? President Donald Trump threatened to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell if he doesn't step up amid an ongoing dispute over monetary policy and an investigation affecting the Fed's leadership. Trump has stirred controversy over posting an image of himself with Jesus, which drew criticism while tensions with the Vatican and blah, 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 whatever. We all know that he's one of the high magi. He's a magus, is what they call it. It's a high witch within the Dark Order. He's a chaos wizard. We see through it, folks. We see through it. We have become aware. We have become enlightened. Jacob, welcome back for 50 months. Hi, Joe. I hope you're doing well. I'm back to work, and I'm working 30 to 40 hours a week. Being a police officer is not easy, but I'm feeling good. Good to hear that, Jacob. Thank you for serving your community and our nation, sir. Starfield is amazing since the updated. Play on PlayStation 5 and been addicted since it came out. Nice, okay. Well, that's good to hear. I know it was kind of had a rough release. Kind of seemed that way with all games. Do I take pre-workout? I do not, no. I try to avoid any sort of high concentration of caffeine unless it's coffee anymore, just because I feel like my body did not react very well to it. Today was rough sleepiness-wise for me. I had to drink a hot cocoa to wake up enough to see my psychiatrist for a checkup. Oh, okay. Nature-inspired hanging mobiles with wood, shells, and bones. That sounds cool. Totaled my car, just needed the soothing sounds of Joel and some company to get my mind off it. Oh man, I'm sorry about that. How is he a police officer? Is it a special program? Yeah, they hire assassins. Jacob's in charge of assassinating anybody who smokes weed. So if anybody in here has had even a puff of weed today, Jacob will be kicking down your door at any moment. He told me. What have I been up to today? Today was good though. Just went to the gym, went to lunch, bought more Pokemon cards, opened them. I honestly think I have like a little bit of an addiction to the Pokemon cards. I don't know. I realize, objectively speaking, it's fun, but I mean, is it really any different than like opening up loot boxes or buying fucking scratch-offs? Where do you get your Pokemon cards from? Just like local stores, various like shops. There seems to be quite a few different shops. But I got a few decent, cool ones. I guess you kind of have to just wait and see if the because I mean, that's really what I enjoy doing, is seeing if you get like a cool single. It's obviously not always great. Like game stores. Yeah, there's a couple game stores around here. A couple random, like just local trading card game shops that always seem to have like some ETBs and stuff like that. I was able to find like a 151 box. Question is, do I open it? Why I have no money is had a sweet car for sale, got tired of the public wanting to give me nothing, so I gave it to some old lady. You gave your car away? That's interesting. Joe, have you seen any movies recently? Movies. Have I seen any movies? I don't think so. I watched half an episode of The Sopranos. In the first episode, Tony Soprano runs over a guy that owes him money, but he does it in like complete view of everybody and right in front of like an insurance building that's like heavily trafficked with like corporate people. And I was just kind of curious how the hell Tony kind of gets away with doing like probably the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Missed a few streams due to work, but it's good to catch this. So yeah, TCG shops have been popping up a lot lately. Good on them, not my cup of tea. Yeah, I don't know, my friend, like, we played for like a week and he was like, dude, we gotta open a shop. And I'm just like, that sounds like a terrible idea. Because I mean, like, I've watched like a lot of videos and all people do is just like sit on boxes, don't open them. And then I heard, actually let me look it up. Is there a new manufacturer opening in the Carolinas related to printing Pokemon cards? You guys ready for this? If it wasn't for him taking me seriously and not listening to my dad's ex saying I was fine, probably wouldn't be here. Do you think if Hannibal had a child, would he have an endearing pet name for them, like Little Lamb? Hello, Little Lamb. Yes, there's a new major Pokemon card related manufacturing expansion in North Carolina, and it's getting a lot of attention in the trading card industry. The company, Millennium Print Group, which prints Pokemon TCG cards, signed a deal for a massive new manufacturing campus in Morrisville, North Carolina, near Research Triangle Park. The site will total about 1.27 million square feet, making it one of the largest trading card printing facilities in the world. The facility includes approximately 400,000 square feet of existing manufacturing space, blah, blah, blah. Construction is slash unfinished started around 2026. Full operations expected around 2027, 2028. Demand for Pokemon cards exploded again recently, and the company admitted printing capacity is the main bottleneck. This new facility is meant to dramatically increase card production so stores keep the product in stock. The Millennium Print Group was acquired by the Pokemon Company International in 2022 specifically to expand trading card manufacturing. They already operate multiple... Okay. Some people in the hobby think that this expansion could eventually lead to much larger print runs, which could reduce scarcity of newer sets, though it may take years before the new plant supply changes. Oh shit, what the fuck? Boop with the 20 gifters. Thank you so much, Boop. Very, very kind. Welcome, everyone. That is crazy, Boop. Thank you. That's like $100, brother. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Everybody say thank you, Boop. Give him a kiss. A kissy smooch. I've been in a few different lives, but I gotta say this is the best by far. I love how you're so engaged with people. Yeah, everyone is, everyone's nice, you know what I mean? Everyone's respectful, and I like getting to know you guys and talking to you and stuff, and wearing your skin. No, I'm just kidding. I'm confident that my ad blocker prevents me from receiving random memberships at this point. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever gotten one before, but I don't know if it's like random between the 1.3 million people that are subscribers, so I don't know. Could someone explain to me the Buttersock cult? Yeah, me too. I don't really get it. Oh, it's Boop's birthday. Bro, happy birthday, Boop. Love you, bro. Thank you, thank you. What are you doing for your birthday? You having a little bit of a drink? I won't be listening to. I'm spending with my grandparents my birthday dinner. Heck yeah, bro. Eat it up. Fill your belly with delicious treats. Excuse me. Anyways, guys, we got stories of betrayal tonight. So, look forward to it. I'd be for whoever's present in the chat. Not the whole crop, but my observation extends to other channels too. First time catching live, it's 3 a.m. over here. Been listening to your stories for years. I've been seeing every single video. So much love for the Netherlands. Thank you, Destiny. Hope things are going okay in the Netherlands. Please stay safe. Don't let the negative get to you. What kind of betrayal? I don't know. It must be some like top 10 anime shit. Let's do it, guys. Let's get spooky, shall we? Anyone remember the Hatton Garden heist? My mom's friend's spouse installed a new security system after the heist, bro. Got a huge bonus. Interesting. No, I don't quite remember all that. What the heck happened? Brother, it's still sunny out here in Vegas. These stories won't scare me until it gets dark. I know. That's the bad thing. But I gotta start a little bit early so I can get them done and go to bed at my normal time. Joel, check. Okay. I don't see anything. Oh, just trolling me. Trolling and schmolling. My new nerd hobby is watching planes on the flight tracker app. Yeah. Oh, I'm dumb. Wait, oh no. No, these aren't betrayal, these are neighborhood watch stories. I'm stupid. Can I change the title? Is that even possible? I think I can edit it here. My bad. Yeah, these were Neighborhood Watch. I don't know why I did Betrayal. Neighborhood Watch. I think I can edit this in real time, so... Okay. Yeah, Betrayal, neighborhood watch, same fucking thing, right? Oh well, my bad. Okay. Anyways. Do you ever get fan mail? Not like in person, but people will send me nice messages, such as, "Hello, I want to kill you with love." What's the Freudian slip? It was basically a load of old men robbed the Hatton Garden security deposit / bank over the Easter holiday that accidentally set off the silent alarm, but the cops didn't even check the place. Oh, that's annoying. Fan mail, yeah. If you send me an entire box fan to my house, it's the only thing I consider fan mail. Alright. Anyways, we're ready to rock, guys. Thanks for being here. Click like, click share. Let's do it. Do you like fire, Joel? I used to. I used to enjoy bonfires and campfires. I used to love staring into the flames and imagining I could see all kinds of magical things in them. Now, fire just fills me with fear. Not just because of one event, but because of two. They occurred a few months apart, but they are almost entirely... They occurred a few months apart, but they are almost certainly linked. The first event happened when I was walking home from town one day. I live within walking distance of the shopping district. Yay for the UK and its tiny landmass, so walking into town was a weekly trip for me. I live in a no-through terrace street with footpaths on one end. One leads from the town/train station, and the other leads to the suburbs and further out of town. I was walking down the footpath leading to my street when I noticed a group of 3 very drunk, very loud people just ahead of me. 2 men and a woman. I could hear them over the sounds of Rammstein playing through the headphones. My headphones. I could hear them over the sounds of Rammstein playing through my headphones, but I shut off my iPhone so I could hear them clearer. They were some of the most vulgar, unpleasant people I have ever had the misfortune to follow, and I prayed that they didn't stop, turn around, and see me. They were clearly 50,000 sheets to the wind, and from the sounds of their jabbering, they were looking for a fight with someone. Anyone, probably. Thankfully, they were too focused on heading to wherever to stop and turn. Thankfully, they were too focused on heading to wherever to stop and turn around. As I reached the turning into my street, they crossed over to the next footpath, and I watched with disgust as one of them tossed a cigarette butt into the hedge of my neighbor. Would you ever read stories in a brain voice? I watched with disgust. What is it, Bane?
I watched with disgust as one of them tossed a cigarette butt into the hedge of the neighborhood at the end of the street.
There we go. I did it. But in all seriousness, do you have a P.O. box for reverse merchandise, not your home address for safety reasons? If I wanted to send you a fridge magnet or bottle opener with your logo for X. You know, I don't have a P.O. box. I probably should get one day just to see what happens, but... Hey, let them. What's up, dude? I watched with disgust as one of them tossed a cigarette butt into the hedge of my neighbor at the end of the street. And as soon as I got home and unpacked my shopping, I headed upstairs and checked out the window. I was a little concerned about the discarded cigarette butt because it was a dry summer and the hedge had started turning brown and dry. But I even had a chance to scope out the end of the street. And before I even had a chance to scope out the end of the street, I knew something was up. It looked like it was snowing, in August, and I quickly realized that ash was blowing past my window. I quickly looked out to the right and saw that flames were licking up my neighbor's hedge. I grabbed my phone and called a couple of neighbors, ones that I knew were members of the neighborhood watch, and then I immediately ran outside. Before I even had a chance to get halfway down the street, the entire... Oh shit, what the fludge? Holy shit, we have not had a big old donation in quite some time. Alex Alexander Customs, thank you for the 50 Buccarino says, hey Joel, this isn't hate, but maybe you should try either shorter videos or longer videos. I say this because similar channels either do 15 to 20 minute videos, which is good for people to watch, and other channels do 2+ hours for people to sleep. Yeah, I guess I'm just like somewhere in between that. You know, I guess I do definitely do the like big compilations like once a month and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say like what, my fan, at this point the fans kind of have expectations for like videos that are around, 45 to an hour, right? So I try to like stick to that word count to maintain that. But yeah, either way, thank you so much, Alex. It's very, very kind of you. Thank you. But I should get a P.O. box to send some bombs, some bomb-ass beats. What's up, Jawad? I grabbed my phone and called a couple of neighbors, ones that I knew were members of the neighborhood watch, and then I immediately ran outside. Before I even had a chance to get halfway down the street, the entire hedge, and I'm talking an extremely large, deciduous hedge here, had caught fully ablaze. Other neighbors started emerging from their houses, and we felt helpless as we realized that there was pretty much no way to get any kind of water towards the hedge. A bunch of us had called the fire brigade, but we had to watch in horror as the fire spread across the garden and caused the large tree in the center of my neighbor's front garden to suddenly erupt into flames. Now, it seemed like it took mere seconds for the tree to turn into a smoldering, blackened trunk and dead branches. Thankfully, that killed this part of the fire, but there was still the hedge to contend with, and with the danger of the fire spreading to the house. Thankfully, the fire brigade got there and managed to control the blaze. Once things had calmed down, I drew one of the firemen aside and told him about the trio that I'd seen tossing a potentially lit cigarette butt into the hedge, as it was clear that this had caused the fire. Now, to my surprise, the fireman seemed completely disinterested. In fact, he acted like I was an annoyance or like he didn't believe me. And this really infuriated me, because I guess I was a younger person at the time, and obviously young people, and when I say young, I mean mid-20s, apparently can't be taken seriously. And this event is what caused me to finally, properly join the neighborhood watch. I did pretty well in my first few months as a fully fledged member. I recruited other neighbors and persuaded them to join, and as someone who often works nights, I kept an eye out and was able to scare off at least one or two potential I love not being able to sleep when there's a Let's Read Live. Heck yeah. So funny, like there's someone, like, it's an interesting concept to think of like women using steroids. I mean, I obviously don't advise it or anything like that, but like someone at my gym, like I hadn't seen them in forever, right? Because I was kind of away from there. And then I came back, and I swear to God, this chick who does compete, and, in some stuff. And like, I swear to God, she must have gained like, I'm not even joking when I say this, I swear to God, she gained like 40 pounds of just like solid muscle, which is like obviously very strange for a girl to do, right? You had to take steroids for a few days when you got shingles. Well, it's a different type of steroids, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess she doesn't look. Do I talk to her? I mean, I say hi, and I said hi to her. I hadn't seen her in forever. I was like, bro, you gained a lot of muscle, and she's like, thanks, and then that was it. But like, she is like absolutely fucking like yoked. And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, like, I've only been gone for like not that long. I don't know. It was just very abnormal, especially for like a woman to gain that much muscle. But at the same time, she looked pretty fucking cool and like pretty like elite. But, I guess that's kind of what you need to do sometimes to like I guess, compete at the highest level or whatever. I don't think you'd have to have a BBL, but you definitely get Botox, lots of Botox. Her? Do you get a badge for Neighborhood Watch? Does it give you the right to whip people's asses on the block? I think so. I think they give you a billy club. Just smack people around. Steroids bad, but a little test definitely makes the day better, like a microdose. Yeah, do they do microdosings of testosterone? What's that do? Apparently BBLs stink. Yeah, that would suck. You get a BBL and you just start like rotting from the inside. As someone who often works nights, I kept an eye out and was able to scare off at least one or two potential vehicle vandals. I saw a guy dealing weed on the corner a few times, but I'm not that much of a narc, so I let that one be. And then, one night, I was up very late playing video games on the computer in my room at the back of the house. Now, I forget what I was playing, but it must have been something quiet because, despite wearing headphones, I was able to hear what sounded like fireworks coming from outside. Now, it wasn't remotely fireworks season, and when I heard a second bang, I realized that it sounded more like a gunshot than a firework, but not quite that either. I climbed over my bed and peered out the window. A disturbing orange glow was coming from the back garden of one of the houses on my side of the street, right at the end. Now, at first, I wasn't sure what I was seeing until I heard another explosion and a pillar of flame shot up into the air. Immediately, I called the fire brigade and then the leader of the neighborhood watch. I still wasn't sure which garden was on fire. My friends live at the penultimate house in the terrace, and I was worried that it was their garden. Is that what it is? Penultimate? Penultimate. Did you know the creator of LASIK's eye surgery wears glasses? Really? He's too afraid to do it. Chicks on roids scare the fuck out of me, yes. I mean, you gotta be like extraordinarily devoted to whatever fitness journey you are on as a chick to like do steroids. It just seems like some next level shit. Penultimate. Okay. What's up, Fawn? Can you localize the effect? What, of a steroid injection? Okay. My friends live at the penultimate house in the terrace, and I was worried it was their garden. I ran outside and was surprised to discover I was alone. The first thing I did was run to the end of the street, and that's when I realized that it was the side garden of the final house in the row, number 20, which was on fire. And from what I could tell, it was the garden shed, but the flames were licking dangerously towards the house itself, which was pretty dilapidated and, in particular, had a wooden balcony which could easily catch fire. I ran straight to number 19 and knocked, waking them up, and started yelling that the next door was on fire and it could spread to their house and they needed to get out of there right away. Now, as soon as I left number 19 with the family in tow, I was met by other neighbors who had also heard the commotion. A few of us had already called the fire brigade at the same time, and we were assured that they were on their way. I looked around, and I could not see the guy who lived in number 20. I assumed that he would have been first to evacuate, but no. Entering his garden was impossible, as he had a big wooden gate which was locked and would have been too slow to climb over. So in my infinite wisdom, I decided to head down the footpath that headed into town and try and yell for the guy who lived there, and also his cat, who I was very fond of. I took a few steps down from the footpath when suddenly there was another explosion from the shed. A huge, billowing wall of flame rolled over the wall and came thundering towards me, and the fire got so close to me that it singed my eyebrows and the hairs on my arms. I jumped backwards. If I had taken one single step forwards, I would have been hit by that wall of flame. Now, I'm certain that someone was looking out for me that day because I was so close to being immolated that, damn, it's honestly scary to even think about to this day. Now, the first brigade showed up and then the cops. And when the fire was put out and all the commotion had died down and some time had passed, we eventually discovered through our neighborhood watch liaison that it had been an act of arson. Someone had set the neighbor's shed on fire. Unfortunately, the neighbor had been storing a whole bunch of aerosol cans and fuel in his shed, which he really wasn't supposed to do, which had led to the fire being far more serious than was likely intended and far more dangerous. The reason that the owner hadn't fled the house was because he was actually away, staying with his son up country, and you'll be pleased to know that the cat was fine and was the first to flee. Now, I can't be sure, but I'm absolutely certain that the trio who set the fire to the hedge were also the ones who burned the shed. When they'd been walking past number 20, some of their vulgarity had been directed at the man who lived there in the house, so they clearly knew him, and there was a nearby pub which had CCTV cameras, and of course it wasn't working at the time, so nobody was identified. The arsonist or arsonists were never caught, but I know who it was. It was the drunk alcoholic smokers who recklessly threw burning cigarette butts around, and so just after our street had stopped stinking of a burning hedge, it started stinking of a burning shed. That was a fun year, with the smell of burning everything permeating our lives. At least nothing else had caught fire for nearly 2 decades now, and if it does, then I'm going to leave it up to other members of the neighborhood watch to go heroically diving into those flames. I don't recommend it, and I think I exhausted my luck when I almost caught on fire the first time. But you know, if I'm ever forced to save a cat from the flames, I can't promise I won't dive into that inferno again. Okay. I'm a Mexican person, so I am white with brown spots or brown with white spots because my dad's white, so that makes me half Mexican. Nice, man. But isn't Mexican just the nationality? Isn't there like wouldn't you have to be like more specific about your subcategory of person? It's kind of like saying I'm half American, half. It's just like so ambiguous. Why are push-ups always fucking sticky? I don't know, it's like they're filled with sugar. Okay, story 1 in the books. Stop, drop, and roll, baby. I'm partly Danish and Irish and Welsh and brown sugar. Who knows, man? When those tests in schools asked about race, you had no idea who to pick. You just draw a big star all over the entire paper. I missed my psychiatrist appointment today, but I hope you're doing well. Yeah, what would that consist of to go to it? Hey Joel, did you know they hire one-legged folks at IHOP? Do they? Just for like entertainment purposes? I'd live with my family on Redacted Street for a few years. It was a close-knit, lovely community full of diversity and friendship, and a whole bunch of us became fast friends, and we'd regularly host barbecues and get-togethers at each other's places. The guys, me included, would often watch football regularly, and we'd generally just have a good time. And that's why it made total sense to set up a neighborhood watch. It seemed like fun at first. The neighborhood was extremely safe, and there wasn't much to really watch out for. But a bunch of us hot-blooded guys thought that it would be a badass idea, and so we went about filing the correct paperwork and completing the correct registrations. And soon, every house had one of those neighborhood watch stickers in their window, and we had a menacing sign attached to a lamppost at the opening of the street. Now, I was very impressed that absolutely everyone in the community signed up. Not surprised really, but still. Of course, nothing happened for a while. We set up a neighborhood watch email group and tested it by using it mostly for group chats. Sometimes we'd do tests. One of us would alert the others that they were going to fake an emergency, and then we would just sometimes we'd do tests. One of us would alert the others that they were going to fake an emergency, and then we would, just to test. Okay. First time in ages alive. I'm awake to catch the live. It's 2:20 a.m. here. It's my birthday today. I'm torn between staying in bed right now or getting up to eat birthday cake. Oh my gosh. Might be a little rough to go eat and fall back asleep, but happy freaking birthday. I know you will make the right decision. So we just talked about my symptoms I'm experiencing. I'm both bipolar and I have a history of psychosis, hallucinations. So she checks in on that, asks about my sleep and my focus. I also have ADHD. Okay, interesting. I always forget that there's an ancient watch sign at the end of my neighborhood. An ancient one. Watch out for the angels. The angels. Racial categories on various applications, such an archaic, useless practice. It is strange. Like, I guess at this point, what is the purpose of it? Where am I based out of? Writing from Michigan. I'm from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. I always put Hispanic, Latino / Caucasian, so I checked one box and just make an amalgamation of a human. Anything you want, just throw it into the pot. We're all fucking. Okay. Sometimes we do tests. One of us would alert the others that they were going to fake an emergency, and then we would, just to test our reaction times. It was completely silly and really achieved nothing, but it was fun. And that's why I didn't take it entirely seriously when I got Mike's email to the group. Mike was the elected head of this neighborhood watch, and he was a bit of a joker. He was a serious, dependable guy when it came to it, but he was always down for a laugh. His email read like he'd either forgotten to warn us that this was a test or that he figured it was so silly he didn't even need to warn us. Now, I've still got the email archived in my old Hotmail account, and here I'll just read it for you. I've tried to fix its many typos, but Mike wasn't the best at grammar. It read as follows. Guys, there's been a sighting of some effing... Sarah Turst. Welcome back for 34 months. Don't forget Victor Crowley rules. Yeah, who's that? Victor Crowley. Okay, guys, I'm crying right now. Feel bad for me. Wow. You got it, bro. Whenever someone cries, I immediately give them more attention than the person who's being good. Why am I on so early? I just gotta get it done so I can go to bed by midnight 30, I call it. Mom, I want my bedtime to be 30, just like the Navy SEALs. Guys, there's been a sighting of something effing weird in the neighborhood. I heard from Mrs. O'Bannon and Miss Perks via 2 separate emails that they'd seen an old, withered, dirty-looking homeless guy walking down the middle of the road. Now, okay, we don't judge. Homeless people are allowed to cut through our area. That wasn't the issue, though. The guy was walking a pet on a leash, a pet alligator, according to Mrs. O'Bannon, and a crocodile, according to Miss Perks. Now, they're both willing to admit that as old ladies, they don't have the best eyesight, but they are certain that this is what they saw. Now, as you all know, we live absolutely nowhere near alligator country, and I believe crocodiles only live maybe somewhere south of Florida when it comes to mainland America, so I have no idea how this man would have a pet alligator / crocodile. Either way, be careful out there. You don't want to find yourself as reptile chow. Regards, Mike. Now, immediately, I was on the phone to Mike asking if this was some kind of goof. Now, I could instantly tell that he was serious. He was skeptical, sure, like he'd said. The old ladies didn't have the best eyesight. But what other... Neighborhood watch in the ghetto. What's up, Shorn? What's up, Lucy? I'm doing Gucci. Okiyasa Nijimura with the 5 says, got to hang with my California friend yesterday. Hit the St. Louis Zoo yesterday too. Nice, that sounds amazing. How was that? Thank you for the 5, bro. Any parental advice for a soon-to-be father? Yeah, I guess try to have as many people around you as possible to help take care of the baby, just because, sleep is, from what I hear, I'm not a dad, but from what I hear, is very difficult to come by for quite a while. So, as they say, it takes a village to get things going. But congratulations on being a dad. That's amazing. Meal Team 6 Gravy Seals. Hell yeah, dude. That's me at Thanksgiving. How's Arc Raiders been? I haven't really had a chance to play Arc Raiders in a while, and I was just thinking earlier how, in a weird way, the developers of Arc Raiders have just completely fucked up in some stupid way, because for the longest time, and I do have a nice person that I have on my friends list when I eventually catch them, because we're at different time zones, who's going to hopefully give me an Osprey blueprint or whatever. I just haven't had a time to snag it from them, but for the longest time, all I've wanted to do is just use certain weapons and mess around with their weapon, the cool ones, right? In this case, the Osprey, the sniper. And it's just really strange to think, what even is the game? What actually is it in the long run, whenever you're trying to play the game a certain way and the RNG of all of it just doesn't allow for it. And I'm just the gameplay loop in that game is unless you have all your shit available and infinite resources, it's just genuinely kind of boring, trying to search around for shit as a more casual player. I don't know, so whatever. But when you think you have enough diapers, buy more. Don't let everyone kiss the baby. Yeah, that's true. Especially early on, it might get them just a little bit sickly. Sleep is hard for about 4 months. Newborns are hard to deal with, but the payoff is worth it. Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Crazy shit. It is kind of weird. The being on this normal sleep schedule, it's the days go by so quickly as they always have, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think does anyone know what the point of life is? Because I feel I'm at that phase in life where I'm I don't even know. I have no inspiration to do anything. Not do anything. I just have no inspiration to as a single adult man. I don't even know. Are you by any of the weather in Pennsylvania right now? I don't think so. Haven't been to Harrisburg. In Pennsylvania, yes. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the state capital, isn't it? Right? Are babies the original sunk cost fallacy? Maybe, I don't know. I think eventually they pay it forward to you as taking care of you as you get older. Serve God. How does one serve God? It's just serving others. My daughter's 9 now. The first 6 months were tough, but she's so awesome now. I know, isn't it crazy to see turning into real people and just all sorts of personality? Do something beyond yourself. Yeah, what should I do, guys? What should I do beyond my... Should I remote view? Watching the flight tracker app last night and the RAF jets from Scotland flying, and was wondering why. It turns out there was a Russian bomber just outside the UK airspace, feeling like a civilian spy. Weird, dude. Do you think that, what are they gonna blitzkrieg the UK or some shit? What time is it? It is, I think, almost 9:40 p.m. for me. I had a C-130 Hercules fly a drill right above my house yesterday, feet above the treetops low. Interesting. What do you think they're doing? Any advice to stay in shape with dealing with a baby? Yeah, probably if you can get a home gym, right? Or basically make time for 1 hour, hence why I like having people around. But, at the very least, try to avoid try to get your steps in, right? Try to get as many steps as like 10,000 if you can, right? I know you're going to be busy and you don't want to take like a screaming baby out into the sun, boil them or whatever, but fuck, man, I'm just thinking, like, try to get your compound lifts in as like your major ones, maintaining strength, which will try to like send signals to hang on a muscle, try to like prioritize protein, right? Minimize like seed oils and all the shitty, like, you know, oxidizing shit like that. Start to probably do a little bit of like fasting, because sometimes like one of the easiest things to do is just don't eat, you know what I mean? But you just gotta like really, like, especially if you're busy and you're not super motivated to get in, you gotta like just like simplify and optimize the process as much as possible. Having a hard night, give Pradeep a fat kissy poo. I shall, Lynn. What's going on? Take my chat on a ghost hunt. Love here to go live. Will ghost hunt audio only. Oh my god. You guys just listen to me wander around a spooky house but not get to see it. I might go ghost hunting, but I don't know if I really should, because I really don't want to bring something back with me, you know what I mean? I keep hunting to find a nicotine pouch that doesn't have sugar out flavor in it. Any thoughts? I don't know. What do you guys think for nicotine pouches that are just... could just make your own? Do something to help your community, the animals, the earth. Okay. I will stop hunting the animals and setting up traps for the locals. Six, 7. Hell yeah. Okay. But what other animal could they have mistaken for a crocodile or alligator? Mike and I tried to come up with some alternatives. A huge, crawling dog? Now that hardly seemed likely. A Komodo dragon? Now that would have been even worse, really. A snake? That's still not great. And after that, we were out of ideas. We knew one thing, though. The neighborhood watch had to be extra vigilant at night until we were sure that we'd seen the last of Crocodile Bum D, as we took to calling him. A pun on the movie character Crocodile Dundee for you youngsters out there. You should watch it, though. Thankfully, my kids were both at summer camp for the next month, and my wife was currently working nights at the hospital, as she actually was a junior doctor. So I was being a bit of a night... Do something to help your community of animals earth. Old burp into the mic. Point of life is what you make it. It's hard as fuck sometimes, but the harder the fight, the bigger the reward. I truly believe this. That's a good point. Yeah, like, pick something to work towards that's, you know, hard to do, you know. And I really haven't had in a while like any like legitimate challenges, you know, if that makes sense. Like, there hasn't been much in my life that's been like a really big challenge, and maybe I just need like a challenge. Fasting is where it's at. Changed my life for the better. That's cool. What kind of fasting do you do? That's not a knife. Move places. Maybe, dude. Fuck. Nothing worth doing is easy. Shoot, yeah. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Me just like up and moving someplace would be fucking crazy. But I guess, I mean, could visit and then decide, I suppose. Thankfully, my kids were both at summer camp for the next month, and my wife was currently working nights at the hospital. So I was being a bit of a night owl myself to make sure that I got to spend some time with the love of my life instead of missing each other like the ships in the night. And I told Mike that I'd keep an eye out. Unsurprisingly, I saw absolutely no sign of any reptile-walking homeless guy. I did see a disheveled figure staggering down the street at 3 a.m. one night, but soon realized that it was the Petersons' teenage son, clearly drunk and clearly sneaking home. I'm pretty sure he wasn't supposed to be underage drinking, but I didn't report him though. I'm not some snitch. Now, the next night was actually a full moon. It was a beautiful night, warm without being oppressive, and the kind of night that you really didn't want to stay stuck inside on the computer. I've been neglecting my morning jogs to make sure that I was home to greet my wife, so I decided that at 1 a.m., that was a decent enough time to go quietly jogging around the neighborhood. Everyone I knew, I should start fasting for spiritual power. I mean, maybe. Go on a date, go on a long hike, maybe a long hike date. That'd be a great way to get to know each other, get lost in the woods. Got any honeys? Piles and piles of Honey Nut Cheerios. That's what I did. I moved 5 hours away to start a new life. Honestly, best decision of my life. I'm so much happier, and I've found my girlfriend here, and it's actually great. Oh, nice, dude. That's amazing. Back in the mid-90s, I went to hang with one of my friends in college at Ryder. Someone had a 3-foot caiman in their dorm that got out that weekend during a party. Caiman. Oh my god. That's a freaking like alligator, right? Intermittent fasting, full-on fasting, and carnivore diet has been the best thing for my husband and I. Yeah, I remember like seeing something where it was like within the first like 11 minutes of ingesting like, you know, high amounts of carbohydrates or something like that, it was like your body's ability, like your body immediately suppresses like white blood cell production, you know, because it like forms within your bones or whatever, I think. Or where does the white blood cells start producing? But anyways, like basically consuming sugar just decreases your immune system almost instantaneously. And I'm kind of thinking like, you know, humans, we can eat a lot of shit, but I really do think if we haven't really changed in the past like 50 to 100,000 years, oh yeah, the marrow. If we haven't changed in like 50 to 100,000 years, maybe, you know, just eating meat and like minimal berries really is just like, and like not eating that often either, like every like couple days or whatever is kind of the norm. But like people back in the day died at 20. Yeah, but they probably died of like you know, like infections, and doesn't mean that we've evolved to like not still maintain whatever it is their diet was, you know. Yeah, dysentery, infections, fucking starvation, injuries, things of that nature, right? But it's still pretty abnormal in the modern sense to just be like eating all the fucking time and like high concentrated amounts of like sugar. I mean, you look at like the introduction of concentrated amounts of carbohydrates to like, you know, South Asia with like, I don't know, Pakistan and India, and just like how prevalent once you introduce like sugar into that population, how prevalent like they are to getting diabetes. It just ain't right. Cutting sugar was so hard, dude. I relapsed. I mean, I guess you just gotta find like alternatives, or maybe you get hungry, you just eat like more meat and then just like forget that you're hungry. Yeah, Star Patrick, you should turn on notifications. It'd make me so happy. It is kind of strange, like I really haven't started that much earlier as of late, but maybe I shouldn't have made an announcement on the community thing. I don't even know. It's just like weird that it's like YouTube doesn't really notify the same people about, but I guess maybe they're doing other shit with their life. Every time someone says dysentery, I think of the old Oregon Trail game. Yeah, that was the way to go. I would drink a bunch of ginger ale and switch to the ice sparkling waters. Yeah, maybe you just need some salted pork. Everyone knew I was on Crocodile Bum D watch duty, so I figured I wouldn't alarm anyone with my presence jogging around. Now, I've been jogging around for about 10-15 minutes, cursing my dad bod and feeling frustrated at the fact that I'd let myself go a little. I took a break to sort of bend down and control my breathing, and you know the way that joggers do where you rest your hands on your thighs? Well, feeling invigorated, I looked up and immediately saw a figure at the far end of the street. I was standing in the shadow of a tree, so I don't think he saw me at the time, and I watched him for a moment and then realized with horror that it was the infamous crocodile Bumdee, Mrs. O'Bannon and Miss P. Perk. The old ladies that warned us about him had not done him justice. He was an absolute mountain of a man. I could see him pretty clearly because he was strolling down the road in the middle of it, lit up by streetlights on either side. And he wore this huge, filthy coat that was even taller than him, with a hem dragging along the surface of the road. And he wore these huge black boots, and I could hear his stomping footsteps even from over 200 yards away. Now he had long, straggly hair and a wild-looking beard. I couldn't tell what race he was, but of how much hair he... What's up, Jorge? How we doing, dog? Vegetables are gross, though. I'm 30 and I still hate those things except potatoes. Like, yeah, I don't even know. Is like a potato even a vegetable? I guess it is. Just a very starchy one. Who knows? Maybe we're not even supposed to eat vegetables. Well, maybe broccoli. I don't know. Straight water for 2 days. If I feel out of whack, I'll fast for 2 days minimum. It sucks not eating, but you feel so much better once you get rid of all the toxins, body reset. That does sound nice, yeah. I do. There are times where, like, I almost feel like my body feels confused why I'm, like, eating. Or I don't know. I haven't been, like, really hungry at all. I really should do some extended fasting here, probably. Honey, lemon, ginger, and hear me out, a bunch of chopped garlic, too. I like so much the ingredients. Soup, almost absolutely delicious. Hitsubasa with the 5 says, what's up, Joel? Just bought my first house. Feel like a real adult now, finally. Congratulations, Hitsubasa. That's amazing. I think you were talking about that for a while. The dream house, I believe. So that's amazing. Thank you. Potatoes. Cut them up, mash them, put them in a stew. Also, earlier, I was a little bit, I guess, late, technically, starting the stream because I went to my buddy's son's baseball game. It's pretty cool. He's in Little League. He's 9 years old, but he's playing with 11 and 12-year-olds because he's really good. And I don't really know why. I half expected all of them to just be MLB. I gotta look out. These balls might hit me in the head or something like that. I mean, he might be a future MLB player. His dad's a very talented athlete, even at our age, right? And am I an unkie? I mean, I am technically an unkie, but I am very, I have a lot of friends with kids, right? So I'm pretty much always in unk status. But yeah, he did good. He was pitching for a while, and I felt so bad for him because he literally, walked 4 people, right? But each one of those walks that he did, it was loaded each time. It was 3 balls, 2 strikes on every person. So if he could have just literally, and he already had 2 outs. So if he could have just got one more strike during that whole process, which he eventually did, but I just felt bad that he had to, deal with that frustration. But, you do it enough, you get better. But then after that, because I mean, actually, it's kind of funny to think. I'm pretty sure pitching is new for him. So that was his second game pitching, just because they wanted to try him out. And honestly, I think he did, for his second time, he did pretty fucking good. And then the next inning, you could tell, after dealing with the walks that he got, something changed, and he was just straight striking fools. Hey, Jorge, thank you for the 2. Keep it up, homie. Thank you, Jorge. Lemon water, is that the ticket? Future Babe Ruth, yeah. He's going to have a gut bigger than Babe Ruth and chew more tobacco. I mean, it is kind of, hilarious. Baseball is it's just a funny sport in general. Just, everybody's standing around. It's, there's, just no physicality really involved in it at all, other than, just seeing how many zins you can fit into every corner of your mouth. Hey, Chris Haley, thank you. I couldn't tell what race he was because of how much hair he had covering his head and face, and in between his footsteps, I heard a scraping and a sort of scuttling too. Now I must have seen it already, but my mind had refused to process it. The man, as the woman had said, walking an alligator on a leash. The man was, as the woman had said, was walking an alligator on a leash. If it hadn't been for the full moon and the streetlights, it would have been hard to see the creature in the dark. It was almost black, just sort of scraping along the street on a long leash, some distance from its menacing walker. Now, a lot of the following information I learned after the fact, but I'll just fill you in now. While the alligator looked intimidatingly big to me, it turned out to be a juvenile American alligator. And trust me, the fact that it was juvenile and was only about half its full size was a blessing. Those things can grow on average to 12 feet in length. Apparently, this one was set to be on the bigger scale, maybe as long as 14 feet, and I think I might have dropped dead of a heart attack if I was faced with a 14-foot alligator in the middle of my street in the middle of the night. Not that a 7 or 8-foot alligator was really much better, as I was just frozen there, hiding in the shadow of the tree, completely unsure of what to do or say. Now I knew it was my duty to do something, as the designated neighborhood watch reptile hunter, but holy crap, what could I do? I was not approaching that thing. But suddenly I had a stroke of genius. When we'd set up that neighborhood watch, a police liaison officer had come to talk to us about the do's and don'ts. He gave us advice on how to operate so we didn't become an armed militia, you know the things. Now, one thing he did mention is that our state, and specifically our area of the state, had adopted a fairly new system. This system basically meant that you could text to 911 instead of calling. It's a lot more common across the states. Is this deja vu? Did you think Jorge twice? I think so. I don't know. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Jorge. I had to play against 18-year-olds when I was 12 because I was tall and they didn't believe I was 9 when I played tennis. I actually beat some of them. Dude, that's sick. What's up, Leonade? Dang. I'm not sure. The alligator is big and white like an old dog turd. He's just dragging around. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you like Power Rangers? Dude, I used to be obsessed with Power Rangers when I was like 4 years old. That shit was amazing. I used to have so many Power Ranger action figures. I love the green one, and I think the green one became the white Power Ranger at some point. I think? I don't know. I feel like he had like a transformation at some point. Oh, the black one became the white one? It's a lot more common across the states now, but back when this took place, we were one of the first states to adopt it. Go North Dakota. Now naturally, I was concerned about calling 911 and alerting Crocodile Bum D, who was starting to look more threatening than the name suggested. I quickly slipped behind some tree, pulled out my creaky old smartphone out of my jogging fanny pack, and fired off a quick text to 911. Now, I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was something frantic and silly like, giant man with an alligator walking down redacted street, alligator is big, man is bigger, send help. Thankfully, as a registered member of the neighborhood watch, Mike's deputy no less. Lulu Allen, thank you, good to see you. Thank you. I love going to my son's games. I call him my son, but I'm not the donor. His real dad is an alcoholic and is in the wind somewhere. I taught him baseball and practice with him consistently. Yeah, that's amazing, dude. You are his father, you know? You raised him and are raising him. Hi, Joel in chat. Happy to give it live again after weeks. Yeah, Garbs, good to see you. Welcome back. I used to watch Power Rangers when I was little, and I used to have some toys, even the big Megazord toy, but sadly my parents threw it away. Ah, dang. I know, there's so much crap that I wish I would have hung on to, just as like collectibles and stuff. Thankfully, as a registered member of the neighborhood watch, Mike's deputy no less, I was known to the local cops, so I figured that they wouldn't dismiss me as some prankster. Now, I was also hoping that maybe they would have received other reports about this guy, and he must have come from somewhere. I decided to wait behind the tree for Alligator Man to pass, or for the cops to show up. Unfortunately, my plan did not work out. A few moments after texting 911, I heard a sound that I swear echoes through my nightmares. Now, if you've never heard the sound of an alligator before, then lucky you. I've included a YouTube Shorts link because in case Joel wants to play the sound to illustrate exactly what I heard, but you can look it up. If you didn't play the audio or you can't hear it, then it sounds like a dragon growling. And tell me that doesn't sound like a freaking dragon when you hear it. That's what I heard that night. And now I know in retrospect that this sound isn't actually an alligator even being aggressive. It's just a sound that they make to be curious or on alert. But in the middle of the night, as the creature and the man got closer than I realized, hearing that nearly made me crap my... Hey, Duke the Legend, thank you for the $1, bro. Didn't realize you do lives. This is rad. Thanks. Yeah, I'm just recording tomorrow's video or right now, and then we'll edit it later. I talked to a shop clerk in Florida who used to wrestle alligators when he was younger. Damn, dude, I just can't imagine that, dude. Like, one wrong move and that thing's just like ripping you to shreds, or at least ripping off your arm and drowning you. Post the link. Let's see. Who? Dude, it is kind of insane, like alligators when they make that rumbly sound in their neck. Bellowing sounds tell you to F off, you better listen. This is wild, because you can like feel the vibration like reaching you. That's what I heard now in retro. Okay. If you didn't play the audio or you can't hear it, then it sounds like a dragon growling. Now tell me that doesn't sound like a freaking dragon. That's what I heard that night. Now I know in retrospect that this sound isn't actually an alligator even being aggressive. It's just the sound that they make to be curious or on alert. But in the middle of the night, as the creature and the man got closer than I realized, hearing that nearly made me poop my jogging shorts. I'm sorry for the image, but it's true. And then I heard the huge man rasp in the deepest voice I've ever heard, asking his alligator friend what she heard. Now I'm pretty sure that he already knew he was there. Because he was saying things like, "Are we being watched, princess? Is there someone up ahead, princess? Maybe behind that tree?" Now my first thought was, no way. The alligator called princess. Oh my god. Now my first thought was, no way. The alligator's called princess. Now my second thought was, I can't just keep staying hiding here. At the time I had no idea how fast alligators really were, and I had no idea if this monster of a man was going to release princess to chase me down if I ran. And so I did the bravest thing I could. I stepped out from behind the tree, greeted the man as cheerily as I could, and told him that I'd just been out for a late-night jog and was taking a breather. The man grunted at me in response, and Princess let out another one of those menacing bellows. Now I knew I couldn't just say, "Nice to meet you, bye, I'm off to bed now." I didn't want Alligator Man to see where I live for starters, and so I decided to try and strike up a conversation with him. "So, taking your gator for a walk, huh?" And the man grunted again in response. I started to ask some questions about her, like where he'd gotten her, clearly somewhere illegal, what her name was, Princess, I already knew that, all that sort of crap, and then I heard both the most blissful and terrible sound I could hear, sirens in the distance and getting closer. The monster of a man looked at me, and the anger on his hairy, filthy face was impossible to ignore. He grunted out something accusing me of calling the cops on him, and then called Princess to his side. He began to kneel, no mean feat at No mean feat it is. There's a wrestling move called gator roll where you clench the neck tight and roll like a gator, which means to rip the opponent with you. Yeah, I feel like you would like break their neck though, doing some crazy stuff like that. That would be like a worst nightmare, getting gator rolled, because you just automatically lose whatever that's attached to. I randomly discovered his lives 2 weeks ago, and the interesting conspiracy-ish combo made me stay. It's a cool concept because none of the other story channels I sub to do live readings. Heck yeah, I don't know anybody who does it. Somebody made a good point the other day. This is not really conspiracy, but just sort of like a speculation. It might have been that like Chinese, have you guys seen that Chinese high school teacher? He just talks about like geopolitics and like random shit like that. But he was saying that he anticipates that eventually the United States will enact a draft, but then all of the same with like maybe the other like Western nations, but then all of like the millions of like, illegals or migrants or whatever you want to call them, like that have been brought in, they'll kind of like offer them a deal to basically get citizenship if they go fight in the wars. And because they're sort of anticipating a large percentage of like most people, like most of the native population people, to just like not want to, not want to go fight in some bullshit war or whatever, right? I'm down here in South Florida. We get some pretty big ones. As a kid, we used to count gators going across state of the alligator alley and see who could count the most. I remember getting close to 100. Dude, that's terrifying. Wart. The awful people running the ship are going to end up sinking the ship if we don't reverse course. I mean, how do you reverse course at this point? Everything is just go along for the ride. But who would believe the government at this point? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, they wouldn't believe it. But if you're offered citizenship, if you go fight in some war or whatever, I feel like you would take that deal, wouldn't you? There's a conspiracy that Ozempic was introduced to get people back into enlistment weight. Right. That'd be funny. But it's all like celebrities. Like, fuck it, what are they going to send Ariana Grande and Ethan Klein to go fucking fight overseas? But it's stupid because, like, I don't know, Ozempic, I don't know. There's so many different things. People were saying that Ozempic also causes people to, like, fall out of love with their spousal partner or whatever. Like, it, like, really minimizes your, like, desire to connect with people or something. Joel, the celebs influence the plebs. Oh, that's true. By getting the drug, the plebs are getting it. But, I mean, I feel like everybody who takes Ozempic, I know someone that like one of my close friends around here takes like Manjaro or whatever, and he's lost some weight, but I certainly wouldn't send him off to the fucking front lines. Up late making milkshakes, hell yeah. All the Ozempic people are way above draft age. Yeah, I feel like it doesn't, but it's an interesting theory. I don't know, there's like something with Ozempic where it's like if it's because it is slowing down or like minimizing your digestive process, right? Hence why some people just like don't even want to eat on it. And then if you can imagine, if it's interfering with your stomach, it's also interfering with like the serotonin that's produced within your stomach as well, which would then interfere with like your sort of positive associations with things, I believe. And then in a similar sense, maybe it affects just your general mentality related to like a partner. I don't know, I've heard such terrible things about the GLP-1s and shit. I really think most people should, like, I was told to like promote it on like the podcast, and I'm like, dude, I can't promote fucking GLP-1 bullshit to the audience, because there's not, like, I mean, we literally just got done with like the opiate crisis, right? And then immediately big pharma bullshit is like, wait, we got a new one here, guys, this one makes you skinny. And it's like, how many times have you seen someone on Ozempic and then they look fucking like gaunt? Like they actually look like they just like don't eat food. It started as a diabetes medicine, yeah. I don't know. I know a coworker who started it but was constantly taking days off because of sickness as side effects. Yeah, there's a lot of shit, man. I mean, you're definitively going to see like lawsuits as people are like, are you or a loved one greatly affected by Ozempic from the year 2021 to 2028? you are entitled to compensation. Call the law offices of Marcus and Marcus and Marcus. We are triplets who all speak at the same time. If someone's a food addiction, they don't get treatment for addiction, they just find another addiction for show. Most of big pharma hate weapon owners and usually demonize them for all the bad stuff they do with their drugs. Weapon owners? What are you talking about? She was breathing heavy with glitter shooting out the cupcake sides. It eats away the bones. Yeah, that's what I heard. It like decreases your bone density and muscle density, which is like literally when you think about like longevity and your general like metabolic, I guess, engine, your muscles are the most important part of how effective you are at like metabolizing, you know, carbohydrates and all that kind of shit. And it's like if you're losing muscle mass by taking it, then don't fucking take it, bro. Unless you, well, obviously talk to a doctor. South Park did an episode on about Ozempic. Yeah, what did they say? Honestly, we should send Ariana Grande to the trenches of Ukraine. I'll just go cut this half stomach surgery. It saves money in the long run. Yeah, maybe. My hot take is people lose weight, their self-esteem improves, and then they leave or are no longer attracted to crappy partners. Not an Ozempic, just my hot take. That's a possibility too. Getting hot and you just kind of give up. That's kind of like how people are together and then one of the couple like makes money and then thinks they can just like go find others. I don't know. That would be a fucking nightmare. That crime girl. I think there's going to be a zillion lawsuits in the future. I swear I watch Hulu. Every other commercial is GLP-1. I mean, it's fucking weird. Like, you know, it's just that, like, you would think that people would become more wary. Because if you remember, like, what the hell is it called? Not Donnie Darko, but what was that movie where everybody's addicted to drugs? Requiem for a Dream. Have you guys seen that? Requiem for a Dream movie? It's like there's a bunch of storylines in it, and one of them is like the mother, I believe. And the mother is addicted to just like looking skinny so she can impress the other old people at her apartment building. And so she's watching like some very manipulative commercials, infomercials about buying these pills. But the pills are just speed, right? It's just an appetite suppressant like methamphetamine drug. And then she takes it and just like is grinding her teeth, but like gets skinnier. And it's like just weird to think that you think people would be more aware of like those kind of things since they've existed as like warnings in media for so long. But honestly, we are kind of approaching the level of what the hell is that movie called? Fucking, oh my god, with the Gator, remember the Gatorade or the electrolytes? It's what the plants want. Idiocracy. We are reaching that level. I mean, like in real time, it just seems like kids are getting dumber. You know, the use of the iPads and the pads. It's like just ruining everyone's like attention span and their emotional abilities. Like it's actually going to be kind of weird to think like a kid raised now that just doesn't have an iPad in front of them at all fucking times, their brain is just going to be different than like other kids. Even if they're just like of average intelligence, they're just generally going to be a completely different human being here in like, you know, another 10 years. Anything that's heavily pushed by celebs, media, and government is generally bad for you. Yeah. You would think people would learn. But honestly, like, I think the weirdest thing I've learned about, like, just the past 10 to 15 years of how people act is that everyone is really, really, really susceptible to, like, cognitive dissonance, where you are really strongly in distrust of, like, big pharma or something in one area of the conversation, but when it comes to something else, it's like there's, like, undying trust for it, usually tied to the identity politics sort of division. And it's just like really strange to just like see people kind of like compartmentalize reality just so that it like fits their continuous narrative, I suppose, or kind of like protects their identity in a weird way. It's wild. Last year I actually got primary doctor. They offered me so many drugs. I was like, what the fuck? I'm just a simple man that wants a checkup. Yeah, I mean, how hard are they pushing that kind of shit? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? I'm 35. I'll be 36 in 2 months. I know a few people have ADHD diagnosis and just they can take methamphetamine for appetite suppression. They've all gained weight and they come down off meds and being starved as they wear off. Yeah, I don't think any of that shit. It's just fucked, man. Like, what, what? I don't even like. What the fuck? Well, let's go back 100, not even 100 years, because they would have said you have, the shakes or some, you know what I mean? Like the fucking psychological diagnoses really aren't that much different than they are now, because they just seem so generalized, But I mean, go back 200 years, you couldn't pay attention or something, you weren't like really effective in life. Did they need ADHD medications back then to just like accomplish things? I don't know. It's just fucking weird. And then people just kind of sit here and pretend that ADHD medications aren't in some ways like highly addictive, but I don't know. You got to protect yourself. It's an easy way out for the time being, but we all know nothing comes easy without consequences. True. It's like signing your soul over. I took a job at a restaurant. I'm 35. I work with 20-year-olds, and the difference between me and them with that screen is incredible. They clearly grew up in front of screens. They just absorb it differently. Yeah, I went off all my meds cold turkey in January because I lost my insurance. Honestly, I've never been more intuitive and alive. Yep, that's good to hear, honestly. I'm glad you're able to safely come off that stuff. Don't doctors get incentives prescribing certain medications? I mean, there definitely was kickbacks, for sure. Kickbacks that usually result in, like, class action lawsuits and all sorts of crazy shit. So, I mean, you gotta be wary of this shit. You can't just, like, I love how people always, like, appeal to authority in most things. Like, are you a doctor? Are you and it's like, dude, doctors openly fucking handed out pain medicine to everyone you saw for the past 20 years, some of them getting like paid to do so. Do you really gonna sit there and appeal to authority in a position where, like, wouldn't you rather use your brain on deciding whether or not you should like consume some sort of potentially harmful substance? Like, it's just weird to me that, I don't know, people just don't have like pattern recognition. ADHD symptoms can be mitigated, but what gets me heated is when it's diagnosed in kids and they don't want to listen to someone drone on and hate sitting still. They're kids. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. It's fucking weird. And the worst part is like the iPads, the short form content, all that shit as a kid is literally like forming the white matter in your brain to like being less, having less impulse control, like basically amplifying all, like if you're a puppy and the puppy runs around and bites things, and then you stick a puppy in front of an iPad, and now the puppy can't stand not having the iPad right in front of it, and then you put him in school, and then, it's just like amplifies all those things. It's almost in like a weird way that the iPad and the short form content and the inability to pay attention is almost like putting them down the track of being like a lifelong patient for these like pharmaceutical companies, and it's really disgusting. Doesn't that ruin attention span of kids? Yeah, iPad. I mean, it's literally, even Steve Jobs himself is open, before he passed away or whatever, but he like openly said, like, would you give your kid an iPad? And he's like, no, never. He's like, I would rather do combat sports with no training and get beat up than ever give my kid an iPad. And I understand, like, constantly keeping your little 3-year-old entertained all the fucking time is probably incredibly difficult. But there's got to be a way. We did it before. Let's prefer kids to get into video games than short form content. At least there's a hand-eye coordinate. I mean, right, and it's like you have to pay attention to the one particular thing. Them jumping from thing to thing to thing is just like, it's got to like, it's like existing in a non-stop state of just like anxiety. He began to kneel, no mean feat at his size, and I realized with horror that he was moving to unleash Princess. Princess don't like loud noises, he said. I did not stick around to see whether he actually did unleash Princess or not. I turned tail and sprinted back to my house, which was almost the entire length of the street, and I had never ran that fast before or since. As I fumbled to get my keys into the lock, I was sure that I heard the sounds of the alligator sprinting towards me. although not that I have any idea what an alligator sprinting really sounds like. I managed to finally get my key into the lock and dive inside and kick the door shut. At the same time, I heard the sound of multiple cop cars pulling into the street, and my hallway became bathed in red and... Lynn, thank you for the gifter. Steve Jobs probably could have survived pancreatic cancer if he actually treated it. It is curious, like I wonder how he developed the pancreatic cancer, because it's such an aggressive form that you don't see coming. I'm just curious, like what in his life was the... I mean, was he just like soldering things all the time and the soldering caused... I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, was he around asbestos? How are we supposed to teach our kids without the fear of them getting taken away? Right, that's a good point. You have to give them the iPad, so then they're terrified of having it taken away. What if you gave them books? What if their reward centers was based around reading books, and then their punishment was like, you're not going to get to read the night before bed, and they're like, no, I don't get to be a fucking nerd. But then at the same time, it's got to be so hard to like teach your kids that like they can't have an iPad or whatever when the parents also really, really like to stare at a screen all the fucking time. I agree with apprehension to ADHD diagnosis medications, but after buying my stepson his 5th pair of Jordans along with counseling, I felt that the only other option to control his behavior was meds. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna like pass judgment on anybody, man. It's just a curiosity, something to look into with the potential side effects. And because I've heard with like certain methamphetamines, like on kids, or like the methamphetamine derivatives, like it can definitively affect like brain development. My mom died of pancreatic cancer. She went from good health to dead within 3 months. It's crazy. Yeah, it's called making the time. Even when you don't have it, you have to make it somehow. Yeah, true. Just basically just have your kid at your hip at all times, just doing whatever you're doing, just have them there, get them involved, give them responsibility. Like it's just like having a puppy, right? You know, and what is a puppy designed to do most of the time? Like have a little job, you know, go get me this, go get me that, sit, you know, and it's like they like to have the thing that they look up to tell them a task, you know. And then to be told, good job on the task. Lynn, thank you for the one gifter. Did I already say that already? To Online Paradox. I'm so old I can remember when spending all your time online on a computer was considered nerdy, right? Yeah, now it's everybody. I was on Prozac for 6 years and it made me a zombie. I had no desire to be creative. I literally stopped drawing completely. And I have a fine art degree. I stopped in June of last year. Best decision. That's good to hear, honestly. I mean, all of this stuff is just like so experimental. Like everybody loves to think that the pharmaceutical companies just like have the brain completely mapped out and figured out, and maybe they do, but it's like still it's like there's, you know, capitalistic like, you know, payment structures put into place where as long as they can convince you to think that you are messed up, they can sell you something, right? Oh, you're not quite feeling exactly how you should, as every fucking human ever has felt. Well, you're going to need this, you're going to need that, and then they can bill your insurance and da-da-da-da. And then they get addicted to it, and there's terrible side effects getting off of it, and blur, you know. As a psych ward patient and a person who has been on a fucking tennis is very experimental. You're pretty much a lab rat. It's what it feels like, man. It's really sad, bro. At the same time, I heard the sound of multiple cop cars pulling into my street and my hallway being bathed in flashing lights. I peeked out the window to see a standoff between the officers and that huge man. Thankfully, Princess was on her leash. Maybe she always had been. And it turned out that multiple people had called the cops because a pretty seriously armored animal control duo were also on the scene. One of them was holding one of those devices that let you wrangle an animal around the neck. Now, I couldn't hear exactly what was being said or yelled, but the next series of events was relieving, sure, but it was also one of the most heartbreaking things I had ever seen. I guess the cops managed to persuade the man to let animal control take charge of his alligator, because he knelt down and began to pet her as one of the animal control officers approached and, in his defense, very gently wrangled Princess around the neck. That alligator must have been the most tame alligator in existence, really, because she didn't writhe or wriggle or a death roll. Instead, she almost obediently allowed animal control to guide her into the back of their wagon. Meanwhile, this probably 7-foot-tall monster of a man meekly allowed the cops to handcuff him and guide him into one of their cars. I watched as they drove off. He could barely sit up straight in the back of the cop car, he was so tall. And so this had gone from the scariest, most effed up night of my life to something that left me conflicted and kind of sad. I'm a bit of a softie when it comes to animals, and even though this massively intimidating man had an illegal, lethally dangerous pet, and was taking her for a walk down my street, I couldn't help but feel bad. I guess in his eyes, Princess was no different than a dog or the many legal, dangerous exotic dick. The dangerous dog dick. I haven't slept for more than 3 to 4 hours a night in the past 15 years due to being a dad, but that's what the territory comes with. Fuck, man. Dude, I worry about that. Like, sometimes I'm like, what if I finally do get into that thing where it's like hardcore long-term situation, fucking have the kid, and then you're just like, you wake up after the 9,000, like, the 9,000th time of no sleep, and I guess, yeah, you do get used to it, but you're just like, fuck this. Like, what if I actually, like, felt like I regretted doing that? Vyvanse helped me in a big way. I was so much less irritable and less depressed, more energy. Everyone around me noticed how much better I was doing. Everyone was shocked by my change. Well, that's good. I feel people's apprehension is reasonable because the system is incapable of handling human behavior. Elementary schools aren't designed to deal with complete behavior, so they go as the meds is for all. Yeah. Does the guidance counselor, or like the teachers, do they advise it to you? Do they come up to you and like, your son is, dealing with some stuff. We suggest giving him this shot. And they pull out a dart. I remember reading a theory about how ADHD is just a hunter's brain, and since we don't hunt anymore, we're prescribed meds to curb behaviors that aren't relevant in today's world. I mean, it makes sense. Once again, if the same system that's going to sit there and tell you that your body is no different than what it was 100,000 years ago, I mean, sure, there were probably education systems to some degree, but it was probably like localized to whatever tribe you were part of. And a lot of that learning as like a human was literally just like about your culture, about your family, about your land, about hunting, about, cultivating things. And it was probably like you were constantly on the move, constantly like grounded with nature. Something that like whatever we are as a modern human is just not compatible with anymore. I'm not advocating for medication. I'm on 5 different medications, all different things. I don't think everyone needs medication. I've been dealing with mental health and trial ever since I was 12. Yeah, no worries. My son is severely autistic, needs to be a special school, but the amount of fully functioning adults who get an ASD diagnosis and wear it like a badge of honor drives me a bit crazy. I mean, it's definitely there's been a very obvious, like in the past decade, rise in pretty conventional people being diagnosed or excessively diagnosed with all sorts of, mental health previously considered issues in a way that, yeah, once again, it's like almost like it's trying to not necessarily just normalize it, but yeah, like champion it or make you sit there and think that you need to have some sort of identity to associate with related to mental health. And it's just, of course, those doctors are gonna be like, yeah, sure, you're this fucking thing. Yeah, you're this fucking thing. Like, it just, as long as you get out of my office and you pay your bills. I'm sure I was hyperactive, but I learned to cope naturally. I never told parents of my students to medicate. That's good, yeah. My medication is for bipolar, and to be honest, it changed my life. That's good. People used to be allowed to just be eccentric and high-strung or now and a bit different. Now we need to stick a label on it. Yeah, I mean, so many kids, like, honestly, like the entire sort of meme that you may have seen on like Instagram or wherever called like millennial core, where they're just like, actually, this is that, and this is this. Like, those were the autistic kids that I went to school with, you know, and they were just weird, you know. It was fine to be weird. It was cool and normal to just be a bit weird. And now it needs like some, you know, 50 different fluctuating, dynamically changing titles to be something anymore. Did you ever have behavioral issues when you were a kid? You know, I did not, no. I got in trouble here and there, but I was always like pretty terrified of consequences for doing bad shit, you know? So I vaguely recall like in first grade, my grades were dog shit. I remember that, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, how are your grades always supposed to be good? But then once I moved to a different school in second grade, all of a sudden, like, I was, like, smart, you know, or, like, pretty decent. Egg. What's up, Frost? I had a learning disability child. You learned to be a good advocate. Absolutely. Sounds worse than it really is, Joe. I promise you that. Oh, that's good, yeah. 38 years old now, suddenly claim that they're autistic or neurodivergent. Give me a fucking break. Yeah, I mean, it's like, what's the point? Is it like, do you get it? So, like, what's the end goal? So you have, like, a card that you can show at GameStop when you walk in, like, stay back, guys, I'm autistic. That's why I smell. You know, it's just like, just fucking accept who you are, you know? So what's up, dog? Big what up from Lansing, Michigan. What is good? The Michigan Scotsman. Did you see Smiling Friend new episodes? I did not, you know. But I heard about it, so I'm going to have to check those out when I can. Have like an autistic sash. That would be kind of sick. Like get a badge. You should be able to get like sort of a Boy Scout, Girl Scout badge for every diagnosis you have. I guess in his eyes, Princess was no different than a dog or the many legal, dangerous, exotic pets that people can keep. On the other hand, I was the absolute hero of the neighborhood watch when I told them everything that had happened. We had a meeting the next day over beers and snacks, and I was definitely the man of the hour. I still had this nagging sadness for Princess and Crocodile Bum D, though. Thankfully, I was able to get some updates on the story over the years, and the man, whose name actually was Warren, was indeed in possession of an illegal juvenile alligator. However, as he was able to prove, he'd found her as a baby, abandoned by whoever had originally purchased her as a pet. The two had bonded, and he'd looked after her ever since. He admitted to the cops that he had no idea how large she'd grow, but accepted that she was clearly growing too big for him to manage. Princess, she grew up to be a reptilian, and now she runs in Congress. Doctors seem happily to hand on antidepressants, but you're sick and need antibiotics. They hide them behind a locked array. Just wait till they start demanding special designated parking spots. Honestly, if you have autism, they should give you a plane that you can start up every morning and just fly around town. Root beer, no. No, root beer, no. I'm gonna name my next pet Root Beer, just so if they ever run away, I'm Root Beer. Well, a lot of people were intentionally misdiagnosed to profit off the net, right? Yeah, for show. Faux show, man. We got a broken system and a bunch of broken people, and they just need to find their thing, you know? But it does really seem like things that do help humans is activity, nature, community, things of that nature. It's if we can, fulfill those processes, it seems like everything kind of falls into place. Princess, for the most part, had never harmed anyone or committed any crimes. Given the circumstances, nobody involved wanted to euthanize the animal, and eventually an animal sanctuary not too far away was found. The sanctuary had both the means to look after an alligator and a spare space to nurture one who hadn't acclimatized. Damn it. The sanctuary had both the means to look after an alligator and a spare space to nurture one who hadn't acclimatized to other members of her species. Now, not only that, it was discovered that Warren had previously worked as a zookeeper many years ago, and while he'd been living homeless and unemployed for some time, he had the necessary qualifications and free time and the ability to relocate. So Princess and Warren went to live and work at the animal sanctuary together. Unfortunately, Warren passed away a couple of years ago due to cancer and complications from COVID, but I still don't know if YouTube gets weird about saying COVID, like if it's another thing. Unfortunately, Warren passed away a couple of years ago due to cancer, but I occasionally exchange emails with the owner of the animal sanctuary, and Princess is doing extremely well. In captivity, she's looking at a good 50 or 60 years of life, and I know that wherever he is now, Warren is looking down watching over her. Now, I've never gone to visit Princess myself, though. I've been told that she... Okay, these last two paragraphs don't fucking matter. Just like constant reminiscing about a fucking alligator. But I'm a millennial, early millennial, but hate being associated with it because I was brought up different compared to classic millennial. I mean, I don't even know what a millennial is anymore. Like, I don't, like, it's just 30 to 40, you know, I don't even know. Like, these labels never really, you know, existed back whenever I was 22 or whatever the fuck. Now it's like just another way to sort of like divide people and hyperfixate on the like negative characteristics of one, you know, member of that grouping. I'm just whole do whatever. Yeah, who gives a shit? Do whatever you want. Fucking start shaking it. Anyone from Canada was affected by the CIBC crash. What is that? CIBC. Commercial Banking Personal Bank. Canadian Imperial Bank Commerce. Was there a crash? Is that like their stock market? Do you think 28 years old living with parents is pathetic? Well, I don't think it's pathetic, but if it makes you feel pathetic, then it's probably something you should change, right? Like, if there's something about yourself that you're not, like, proud of, it's certainly not pathetic, but I think you might... Well, you know, the thing is like, people were in, like, tribes and stuff, lived with extended family in all sorts of interesting ways, right? But, I mean, I think, you know, I do think you should be, like, an independent, you know, productive member within your family to, like, take care of things, take care of the household, you know, shit like that, but... There's been no overall financial market crash of today. However, you may be referring to one of the two recent localized crashes or disruptions. CIBDC digital banking outage, April 11th to the 14th. CIBC recently experienced a significant technical outage that began on Saturday, April 11th and lasted through April 13th. Thousands of customers were unable to log into mobile apps. Services were officially restored. While social media rumors mentioned potential cyber attacks, the bank described it only as a system issue. Oh shit. I guess that's going to be it, right? Cyber attack on the banks, electrical grids. Oh man. I don't know, man. As I get older, I'm losing energy, bro. Like, you know, like you kind of were like always like super motivated to like try new things or do something. Like, I don't know what it is, but in the past like year, being 35 going on 36 has like hit me in a way that just, I look at things and I just like don't, just not super stoked about any of it. Help me understand, guy likes me, notices every now and again when I'm removed him from my Instagram, refollows me. Oh, bro, don't waste your time with some weird online weird shit, bro. I thought you were gonna tell me like guy likes me at a gym. I was gonna be like, go talk to him, but if it's some online bullshit, dude, don't fuck around with that. Who cares? There's plenty of nice people that'll like you IRL. I work out every day, but since hitting 35, it's getting harder to keep the fire going. Yeah, it's like like I have my one friend, he was like ex-special forces with the Air Force, and like he has like he has endless motor. Like his motor does not stop. Like he's locked in on his training, he's locked in on his diet, he's locked in on his family, he's locked in on, you know, the business that he's helping me run, he's locked in on his job, you know what I mean? It's like every aspect of him is just going at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I'm like, how the fuck? How do you do it, man? Think about it, if you're thinking about becoming a parent, your kid may not be able to afford to live independently. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but also ordered delivery from a ramen shop. I don't like the fish taste, and the ramen bowl was just marinating in the seaweed smell inside the ramen bowl. Yeah, probably hard to, unless you know like where you're going or what to expect. It's, I guess, an expensive test drive. How can he be locked in on family? Like he's just locked in on like every aspect of his kids' lives, you know, like the ones in baseball, and then unfortunately the ones like pretty severely autistic, but he's doing everything to like help that autistic kid like, you know, thrive as best he can. And then he has like a 3-year-old, and he's like got her in, you know, gymnastics, and like always just like on top, you know what I mean? Like he's just a loving father. I just mean that in everything he's doing, he's just like doing it in the best way possible, you know? Hey Virgo, what's up, dude? Hey Hillary Todd. Why does that name sound so familiar? I feel like I knew somebody like that growing up with that name. He's not an absentee, but yeah, he's a very present father. Sometimes like hyper present, but you know. Anyways, 28, living in parents in today's world, definitely not pathetic as long as you hold your own. Yeah, and just try your best, and you know, if you really want to get independent, like, you know, just find a way to make it happen. But at the same time, sometimes it's good to be around family. I'm your biggest fan, decade now. Maybe that's it. Maybe you've been my biggest fan for the longest time. Okay, but is there trauma and hypervigilance? So wait, what are we talking about? That person that unfollowed and followed? Honestly, don't know where people get the energy. It's everything to me to keep my own business running and be completely present in my daughter's life. I'm still struggling big time. Yeah, I don't know. I think like him being in the military, obviously, like he definitely had something in him that was separate, but it's like the military seems to like hone the skills of people's minds to like such a really hypervigilant state. Okay, what am I even doing? In captivity, she's looking at a good 50 or 60 more years of life, and I know that wherever he is now, Warren is looking down, watching over her. Okay. The military can help a lot of people find their focus. Too bad I'm too queer to join, but if you can, best of luck. I'm rather queer. Your friend who's super locked in, is he super locked in because of hypervigilance? Yes. Yeah, like the military, as much as it's benefited him, I think has also caused, you know, a little bit of issues. But at the same time, it's not like, it's, to me, it doesn't seem like a problem. Like he's clearly like there, you know, and clearly on top of stuff, and maybe there's some things that he's like, maybe he's always like holding back a mild freak out, you know, but I still think he controls himself really well and is very, you know, very good dad. Watch for burnout. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone who will take himself to like burnout and beyond. Joel, 2 things. I'm addicted to Takis. 2, the Prince of Planters hot peanuts went up from 69 cents to 129. Jesus Christ. That's might require calling in a bomb threat. I'm just kidding. JK, folks, they're making one of those jokes. Oh yeah, I wanted to look up a conspiracy. So, what is a magus? It's like a a magus is plural, a magi, is traditionally a wise man, magician, priest with special knowledge, especially in ancient religions and mystical traditions. Because I saw this conspiracy the other day. Remember, like, Trump posted that picture of him as, like, Jesus? Or, like, you know, it was weird. It was, like, him as Jesus, but, like, with a white robe, with, like, a sort of, like, red sash or something over his shoulders. And then someone made a comparison that he's actually not trying to portray that he's Jesus, but that he's the magus, or the magi, or the dark magician within, what are they called? Like tarot cards, right? Yeah, when he was like, oh, I thought it depicted me as a doctor. That was really funny, but... And I was thinking, like, that, I mean, it makes some sense to me. Like, if they are all part of, like, some weird occult sort of bullshit, and they're all, like, you know, some high-level Freemason nonsensory, then it would make sense if he perceives himself, or those around him perceive himself as, like, a chaos, you know what I mean? Like, a agent of chaos, a agent of confusion. I mean, yeah, Antichrist-like, right? You know, similar. There could be multiple Antichrists, I guess you could argue, at least in their definition. But not sure how people still believe his lie. Well, I think most people. I mean, and also it seems that there's like some sort of like thing where within the acting realm, within wrestling. I mean, Jacob has taught this where you can turn heel. In wrestling, you can like turn heel, and when you turn heel, it's like you're turning against the people that previously supported you. In this case, it would be like the sort of, you know, the right, the MAGA group, right? So it seems like he's in his turning heel, like, narrative arc or whatever, and exactly how the play, but it just really, I don't know, I've just been like stricken with this realization. I used to think this prior to like the more recent politics, but it's only stricken me now even more so, that I really do think that like all the world is a stage, you know what I mean? Like all the world is some like weird stage for some like ancient bullshit. As like vague and weird as that sounds, it's just like, and maybe it's a little bit schizo, but it just seems like something very dark and occult, Truman Show-esque is like occurring. It's pronounced magi, like magi. Sorry, yeah, like magic, like yep. Sorry about it. Thank you, Hillary. The world's a stage, and I don't even know if we're the actors though. We're just like the audience, right? I understand how people could not have seen that coming. He threw multiple people under the bus the first time. Right, yeah, I mean, it sounds like your friend Joel is kind of spreading himself a little thin. He really needs to take care of himself and his mental health. If not, he'd crash in a hard way. Yeah, but he just, like I said, it's like he's just deriving infinite energy, and like he still gets his sleep at night, seemingly. Pam Bondi got fired. Yeah, I think the Pam Bondi getting fired thing was like basically so she wouldn't be able to like testify in front of Congress pertaining to like more Epstein shit, right? So they're like, all right, we're just gonna kill her, you know, we're just gonna move her to the side, and then you have to start the whole process over again if you want more information or whatever. I don't know. I think we understand about 10% of what's happening in the world, and the other 90% is what people want us to know via mainstream media. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, when you look back retrospectively, has there ever been like a single narrative within the news that actually seems like it was like 100% truthful out the gate? There's always like something that retroactively you can go back and people will be like, oh, that was fucking wrong. Oh, what the news told us about that was completely incorrect. Like, you know, and then they have like the information to show it. So it's actually really, really strange. Like, I really do question the minds of people who just like hear stuff happening in real time in the modern era, but never at least have like a little light bulb go off in their head where they're like, wait a second, what's really going on, you know? The military gives you a direction. I didn't know what to do at a point in life, and I joined, became MP, gave me a job to put my mind on. I mean, it does help, right? Just to have direction throughout all of life, you know. Personally, the way I see it, a lot of people in power are actors and have been trained to be as such from a young age. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Did you guys see that one picture with like Epstein and Mamdani. Like, it was like Mamdani as like a kid, and then they took that file off of the Epstein lists and shit. And I'm just like, holy fuck, man. I think they got everyone. I think they literally just got, like, everyone you see, like, as a big name actor or whatever. I think they've literally just been conditioned from childhood through direction and potentially trauma and all sorts of, like, other shit. Like, we really don't stand a chance. When are you going to open the Strait of Hormuz? What about the Gay of Hormuz? Can I open the Gay of Hormuz? My big sister joined the Navy to get the hell out of town. Best choice she made. Proud of her since she has a husband that fets along with everyone, and it's also a hard worker like she is. Oh, that's cool. Anyways. I'm going to start this by saying that I love the idea of the neighborhood. I'm going to start this by saying that I love the idea of the Neighborhood Watch initiative. I've moved house since this story took place, and I'm part of an unofficial Neighborhood Watch myself. I regularly help out, and I'd say that I'm a proud member. Now, it wasn't always the case. I used to live in a small ranch-style house in a relatively rural neighborhood. I didn't know much about the concept of neighborhood watch groups at the time, and even less so about the type of neighborhood watch group in my area. I don't really want to name the group or explain who they were because it'll open up a can of worms, but let's just say that they were a specific type of neighborhood watch group where all the members were of a certain heritage, which I was not, and therefore I was never invited to join or be any part of their group. But within a day of moving in, I did receive a surprisingly professional-looking pamphlet detailing who they were and what they did. In short, they kept an eye on the neighborhood for undesirables, bad behavior, and any threat to their way of life. My vague understanding of a neighborhood watch group was that they were a group of people who kept an eye out for crime or vandalism, but they didn't seem to be the... Do you read the story exactly as it is sent, or do you edit how it says in your own words? I have editors, but they just help find the stories and then edit the grammar to make it a little bit more doable. But I would say that all the stories stay pretty much exactly as should. What do you expect from somebody who donated to Nancy Pelosi? You donated, Naterator? You gave her more money? You helped her inside trade a little bit? My name is also Joel. Love your stories, brother, though I wish you would cover more Glitch and Matrix stories. That would be good. Maybe as like another bonus content down the way. Hello, Joel. I can't hang around. I've got to see a man about a dog. And by the way, it's such a beautiful day here in sunny Melbourne. Love you long time. Thank you. Yeah, be careful. Stay safe. Tips for giving my boss psychic damage? Probably create a voodoo doll, but don't actually do it because you just end up hurting yourself. Leave it to the professionals. Am I the only one who thinks that the Western pop culture is in a perpetual state of nostalgia? Nothing is new, and young people are discovering old shows, movies, and music instead of anything new. I agree, yeah. I mean, all the writing is dog shit, right? It's just a bunch of, like, brain-dead progressive politics that, like, has no real-life experience and constantly is just kind of a big circle jerk for who can be the most woke, right? And it's not even, I'm not even saying that from the perspective of that the opposing perspective is right, because it's not. But the thing is that when you're so caught in your like little circle of farts and all you can smell is those particular farts all the time, eventually you don't realize that you're actually surrounded in shit, you know, because you get used to the smell of that stink. But it's, you know, it's what it is, and it's taken over everything. You know, so that everyone is just like, well, this sucks. It's written by a person who's an idiot who just lives on Twitter all day. So let's go backwards in time and try to find something with like even an ounce of like nuance and talent, you know. Me realizing I have a membership. Heck yeah. A bunch of reboots, nothing new. Yeah, and they're never even, like, good, right? I love your Saturn Source stories, but is there any way you can make them longer? I don't think I can, just because a lot of it's from, like... I mean, we could do maybe an extended script or something to something, and I would just record more, but most of them is just, like, stuff that was on the channel here and then migrated over there. They're trying to ban dogs in England because they weren't kosher. I think it was, like, the bully dogs or whatever, like the pit bull type ones, just because literally anything that's even slightly scary in the UK has to be thrown into a wood chipper, I guess. One should be with someone who makes them feel safe, right? Not someone who constantly feels like eggshells and constant redemption attempts. Yeah, definitely. It's the toxic relationship. Alright, Floppy, take care. I almost wish I had a story to send you, but to be honest, I'd rather not go through some bullshit. A wood chipper? Question mark? It was just an analogy. Creating a long true crime stories is hard. It requires a lot of work. My new video is 30 minutes and took me 2 months to edit. Oh, that's... Yeah, everyone go subscribe to that crime girl. Hi, Joel. Can I please make more horror stories? Yeah, we can... that's what we're in the process of doing right now. I live in the UK. It is awfully... Is this awfully work here? Oh, woke here. Yeah. I mean, everywhere, really, right? And it's just like, just endless ideas, nonstop browbeating. You know, you can't ever, like, have any sort of independent thought, or you're, like, potentially a danger to said society or whatever. You know, it's just, it's stupid. Like, you can't have any sort of freedom of anything. My mom has a Frenchie, and she's a hot mess with the allergies and such, but he's cute. But girl is a hot mess medically. It was some religious BS. The immigrants don't like dogs. Is that really it? That I can't imagine that would pass. Like, that'd be so psychotic. We're banning dogs. Like, how would they even, like, pass that at all? It'd be insane. Like, you go after... That's honest. What if that's what causes a revolution of sorts to fight back against something? It's like you take people's dogs. Dogs are fucking cool. Why don't people why don't people like dogs? Dogs are fucking awesome. How does not every culture in the world have, like, some innate spiritual connection to dogs? Like, I know some of them are, like, connected to cats or whatever, because cats just, I guess, have that sort of charm to them or whatever with their poop infecting people's brains, but dogs are fucking cool. Banning dogs gets me heated. Dogs are cool if he accepts the owner's fault, right? If nothing else, that would be... Well, alright, well, let's check. I gotta actually look this up. There's no fucking way they're... Are they banning dogs in the UK because of migrant complaints? That can't possibly be a real thing. If that's actually real, I'm gonna just be absolutely fuming, mate. No, the UK is not banning dogs because migrants complained. The claim has been circulating on social media, but there's no evidence of any law banning dogs due to migrant Muslims. The UK did ban one specific type of dog, the XL Bully. The government added that the XL Bully type to the list of prohibited dogs after several fatal attacks. Owners can only keep them under strict conditions or exemptions. Other banned types already include Pit Bull Terrier, Japanese Tosa, Doggo Argentino, Fila Brasileiro. This policy, some council restrict dogs in certain places. Local governments sometimes limit dogs in places like playgrounds, beaches, parks. Yeah, so I guess it's just a rumor. Yeah, I don't know. Dogs are not being banned in the UK because... Yeah, alright, good to know. I was gonna say, that would take a fucking lot, would it not? What about how we treat cows from the perspective of Hindus? I don't know, I remember hearing, like, I don't even exactly know how that... Well, we can actually look that up on the internet. Why do Hindus revere cows? No British bulldogs in Britain. Oh, that's a good point, yeah. In Hindu tradition, the cow represents generosity and motherhood because it gives milk and sustains life. Well, I just meant from historical economic reason. Historically, in India agriculture society, cows were extremely valuable. Milk and dairy foods, dung used for fuel and fertilizer, oxen used for plowing fields and transport. Killing cattle would have damaged long-term agricultural productivity, so religious protection helped preserve them. Yeah, I don't know. You think they would be able to just, like, preserve them, but also still, like, feast upon them, you know what I mean, by just breeding and farming. The thoughts on cats is that they were believed to ward off demons after eating the mice reduced illnesses. All they knew was that they were sick less. Oh, that makes sense. And the dogs. But I feel like the dogs would have been useful too, like little ratters. Imagine if they would have, like, bred the little ratters that kill mice. I love my Welsh heritage and tribe, but it's too fucked here. Is that in Wales? I thought Wales was kind of still pretty rural. Hey Raven, how you doing? My vague understanding of it. Oh my god. My vague understanding of a neighborhood watch group was that they were a group of people who kept an eye out for crime or vandalism, but that didn't seem to be the case here. It seemed more like a homeowners association, but they were adamant in their literature that they were a neighborhood watch group. And boy, did they send a lot of literature. Almost every week I received a neighborhood watch newsletter, but these mostly consisted of lists of things I should or shouldn't do as a good member of the community. The pamphlets I received seemed specifically designed for people like me, i.e. people who didn't quite fit in to their culture. I don't want to say that they were outright hostile, but they made it very clear that I didn't entirely belong and I wasn't one of them. I had no idea which of my neighbors actually belonged to this neighborhood watch group, but almost every neighbor I tried to befriend or even be remotely friendly with seemed to snub me or look down on me. They were all a fair bit older than me, with the youngest pushing 50 aside from a small handful of families who kept to themselves. And there was one neighbor I befriended, though. I'll just call him Devin. Now, he was a black guy who had lived in the neighborhood with his wife until she tragically passed away a couple of years ago. We became buddies, and I soon found out that he'd been made to feel as ostracized by the neighborhood watch as I had. And according to Devin, they'd barely even offered sympathy when his wife had passed. Their biggest concern seemed to be informing him that he was holding the wake at home. Oops. Dogs are fucking awesome. Mine is the best fucking friend. Hell yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying, bro. You love the Welsh language. I've never even heard it, I don't think. The most sincere, wholesome hugs I ever got were from dogs. Yeah, dogs are good people, man. They all go to heaven. They all get a fucking little snack. Just Pitbull or banned in UK mainly because of illegal dog fights. Yeah. I guess, man. Well, honestly, we have that terrible problem, and that was the whole issue down in Georgia, right? It was just like, and that's usually a lot of the dogs that make it up here to the north for shelters and stuff are, they come from dog fighting groups or whatever, and it's, I don't know, it's pretty sad. It's weird though, because like, is that all they do, just all day fight dogs? Don't they have any, isn't there other ways to like make money? Oh, you got bronchitis, see money. I'm sorry to hear that. Do you want ants in your car? Because that's how you get ants. That's true. I got ants. Putting out Pradeep's food gets ants. Their biggest concern seemed to be informing him that if he was holding the wake at home, he'd have to limit how many cars parked in the street because otherwise it might become inconvenient for the others. Now, I was horrified at this. The man had just lost his wife, and the neighborhood watch, as they called himself, were concerned that too many people might want to support him and pay their respects. And so we kind of bonded over how much of a bunch of expletives this neighborhood watch group was. Now, we took to calling them the homeowners a-holes. Anytime either of us did end up speaking to one of the members of the neighborhood watch, particularly a very elderly man called Elijah, we'd intentionally refer to them as a homeowners association after realizing how much they seemed to irrationally anger them. Wait, what? Intentionally refer to them as a homeowners... Oh, right. Take a shot for every time Joel yawned and be sloshed. Absolutely sloshed, bro. I work in the animal rescue field. Most of our dogs were rescued from the south, a lot of from fighting, most of which had to be put down. Sad but true. I mean, it is scary. Do I like Queso? Yeah, Queso seems like a really nice guy. And just fun, right? I'm happy for him, man. I remember seeing, like, I don't know if he built a house or whatever, a custom house. A custom house. But then he had, like, his own home gym. He did, like, a tour of. And it was like he had, like, this home gym, and then you go up some steps, and then it's kind of like an arcade with, like, a pool table and just, like, fun shit for him and his friend. I think he even had a basketball court in there, too, which I hope he, plays some basketball. I'm a huge dog person. My best friend was attacked last Sunday by a dog fighting pit bull on the loose, took a chunk out of her calf and caused her dog to never be able to walk again. Holy fuck, dude. God, that's terrible. On the loose. Are you guys down south? That's fucking scary. God. Yeah, because, you instinctively want to, like, intervene. Did you ever hear about, like, how you're, like, if dogs are biting you, like, stick your finger up their butt or whatever, and it's supposed to, I don't know, it's supposed to, like, reflexively, all right, listen, the reason I'm sticking my finger, no, but it's supposed to, like, reflexively make them, like, stop. But I saw this, like, funny ass fucking video on Instagram where, like, a dog was biting into, like, a little dog, and then the guy just comes out of nowhere and just does exactly that, like, sticks his finger in and, like, just, like, literally makes zero difference. It's just, he just looks like a fucking weirdo who just came up and was like, I will take this opportunity to stick my finger up a dog's ass. Here I come. I adopted a white boxer a month in, and he attacked me in my sleep at 3 a.m., bit and tore my face off. So what do you think my thoughts are about dogs? Jesus, Vanessa, I'm so sorry to hear that. A fucking boxer did that. That's in your sleep. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's crazy. I was running down a rural road a while ago, and a pack of dogs started chasing me in slow motion. I was running so slow, and they came out of the woods. Jesus. God. Yeah. Fuck. Anytime either of us did end up speaking to one of the members of the neighborhood watch, particularly a very elderly man called Elijah, we intentionally referred to them as a homeowners association after realizing how much they seemed to irrationally anger them. Now, it wasn't long before I started receiving personalized letters on their pretentious customized neighborhood watch letterhead complaining about various things. My lawn needed trimming, my car was parked too far from the curb, and I should only ever park in my driveway, never mind the fact that I was applying new asphalt at the time. Now, I wrote back informing them that this seemed like something an HOA should be concerned with, not a neighborhood watch group, especially one of their persuasion, and shouldn't they be on the lookout for crimes and vandalism? Mike's garden shed had been broken into a few weeks before, and they certainly hadn't been... Mike's garden shed had been broken into a few weeks before, and there certainly hadn't been any neighborhood watch keeping an eye then. They didn't respond to this, but 2 weeks later, I received another letter informing... I've been very lucky with dogs, so I don't ever... He was some kind of German Shepherd looking thing the owner didn't have tied out. Yeah, I don't know if... Be so hard to go get like a dog that's already been through a bunch of shit. It's scary what the fuck they might just do out of nowhere. I work the front door to a weed shop in Washington and have our dog regulars that come in every day and go right for their bacon treats, best part of each day. Oh man. Grab the back of their jaw and squeeze, it'll release. Grab the back of their jaw, like the meaty part? Like where they're biting, and just squeeze or like squeeze under the neck, back of their jaw, like right at the chin, neck or something. They didn't respond to this, but 2 weeks later, I received another letter informing me that an untoward-looking gentleman had been seen on my property on multiple evenings. Now this confused me at first until I realized that they were talking about Mike, their own neighbor. Now we couldn't outright come out and accuse them of racism because they never specified details of who they were talking about other than saying he appeared suspicious. But you know, it wasn't hard to read between the lines. I think I was angrier about this than Mike was. I guess he was used to the neighbors being kind of hostile, which he said had been going on ever since he and his Iranian wife moved in. As an Iranian guy myself, this made me even more angry for a bunch of reasons, and Mike really had to work hard to calm me down. And that's when he hit me with the news. He was moving out in 3 months. Now, I was kind of mad at him. He was going to leave me with these people who clearly didn't want us here. And that's when he suggested that I sell up and, for the time being, move in with him as his roommate. Now, it felt kind of juvenile, as men in our late 20s and early 30s respectively, but Mike was moving to my dream city, San Francisco, and I had family there. It wasn't actually a bad idea, so it was decided. We'd leave this weird, creepy neighborhood watch cult in our... Wait, so Mike was the buddy, but then the other guy was named Devin? Just recycle my yellow pages. Why do we still get them? I don't know, I guess to start a fire. A really big one. Or to like show how strong you are by ripping it in half. Restart the stream? Okay, yeah, we're gonna restart, guys. What's my favorite noodle? Honestly, if you can just make them only out of like egg whites and be like pure protein noodle, that would be my favorite noodle. Have you ever seen the movie When Evil Lurks? The dog biting that little girl was wild. I did see that movie, actually, yeah. That movie was pretty fudged up, honestly. Yeah, it just kind of like... It's just funny how they animated it, too, because it was just sitting there, like, chill. And then all of a sudden it was just like... Rawr. And then it showed it. It didn't really show it, but it kind of implied it, like, ripping and mauling the kid. I feel like the way that... I don't even remember how that movie ended, to be honest with you. It was such a weird-ass movie, this movie called Where Evil Lurks. And it's literally like, imagine like a zombie infection where you become, it's like, imagine like an infection by a zombie. But instead of like getting bit and transferring it, it's like a spiritual curse that moves into you and then like takes you out. It's like honestly one of the more unique forms of, I guess, infection that you could see in like a movie related to, I like literally, it's so weird that it's so cool that I legitimately don't know how to explain it. Like Jujutsu Kaisen? Nerd. Yeah, probably like Jujutsu Kaisen. Like Sukuna. I don't know. But yes, probably exactly like that. Can you explain how the When Evil Lurks infection works? Yeah, it's definitely like the Evil Dead where it's like you're possessed by like a demon. Okay, so when evil lurks, the infection is basically a demonic corruption that spreads like a disease through the people in its communities. The film deliberately keeps it mysterious, but there are certain clear rules about how it works. One, it starts with a rotten. A person becomes a rotten, someone whose body is slowly being overtaken by a demon. Characteristics: the body swells, rots, and decays while still alive. They become immobile and grotesquely bloated. Eventually, the demon fully manifests through them. The rotten acts like a source of contamination for everybody nearby. 2. Evil spreads through proximity and contact. The demon's influence spreads to others in several ways. The physical contact, touching infected blood or bodily fluids, can spread it. Being near the rotten, living near one, causes people to gradually become corrupted. Animals can become possessed and attack people, spreading the corruption further. It manipulates people psychologically. Some of the creepiest parts of the movie is that the demon makes people do the exact opposite of what they should do. People ignore obvious danger, they break the rules of handling the rotten, they act irrationally and impulsively. Children are especially vulnerable, they become carriers, violent agents of the demon, gateways for it to manifest. Killing the rotten, oh yeah, this one was interesting. It was like killing the rotten incorrectly makes it worse. The movie explains that there are very strict rituals for destroying a rotten. If you do it wrong, the demon escapes into the surrounding people. It spreads faster. The final stage, full manifestation, when the demon fully emerges from a rotten, reality begins to break down, mass possession happens, the demon gains physical influence in the world. I don't know, it's just like crazy. You should watch. I mean, it's not like the best movie ever, but it's a really interesting idea. WTF, thank you for the 279 Canadian. It's scary how bears run so fast. Yeah, they are not to be fucked with. What's up, Nasty Nate? Nasty Nathan? Nasty Nathaniel? Join us. I love my dogs. I think my beagle is a demon. Literally have a video of him breaking into my fridge and eating an entire turkey via my house cam. How did he break into the fridge? That's insane. That's why I always pray before you go to sleep. Lord, please don't let the rotten overtake my town. We leave this weird, creepy neighborhood watch cult in our rearview mirror and move out. And that's when things got really crazy. I started receiving notes again on the neighborhood watch letterheads, and this time they were accusing me of running a meth lab in the basement. At first, that's all they were, statements and accusations. And then they escalated. I could call the cops and shut you down, but I won't. Not yet. That kind of thing. And the next, I received an ultimatum telling me to shut the meth lab down or something terrible would happen. Now this was all insane. Obviously, I was not running a meth lab in my basement, and the biggest piece of evidence in my defense was that I did not even have a basement. I guess some of the other houses in the spread out neighborhood did, and whoever was accusing me of this was one of those basement owners. Presumably he or she assumed my house was just the same. I showed Mike, and what started off as a kind of joke soon turned pretty scary. We were counting down the days until the move, just 6 weeks now. And that's when I got the most terrifying letter yet. Still written on neighborhood watch letterhead paper, and the writing was scrawled, erratic, and somewhat mental. The writer threatened that if I didn't shut my meth lab down within a week, which I was clearly running with a friend, who the author identified with a slur that I won't repeat here, then both of our houses were going to be cleansed by holy fire, quote unquote. Mike and I debated whether this was a metaphor or something more. Our question was answered when the hedge... Pradeep, hey, stop eating my poop, thanks. Never! You can't stop me, you little kitty cat. Thank you for the two poops. First time viewer, long time listener. How come you can't swear in your podcast? Is a monetization thing? Yeah, kind of. I just don't want to bring any sort of negative attention onto myself. And honestly, some people say they listen to it with family. I mean, which is kind of funny. It's they'll listen to something really violent, but then I don't really want to, make it awkward by having the F word. What's up, Finksy? Honestly, I have 20 to 30 entities at any time at my house. I have a portal in my kitchen. I've done paranormal investigation for 25 years. Plus, I have a lot of haunted items. Danny, what are you doing, bro? Do you even get any sleep? Do you feel like maybe you are infected? I just remember the dog biting the girl. That stuck with me. Normally, they don't show children getting hurt on screen. They cut away. Nope. Dog bites down her face, swings her like a toy. Yeah, it's really bad. Thanks whoever brought up smiling friends. Now my boyfriend is blasting it in the next room. That's fun. Thanks very much. I appreciate you and your content. You're my favorite reader on the site. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Num Num Noodle. Thank you so much. There's a new Evil Dead Burn movie coming out next July 24th. Interesting. I wonder if that'll be good. Do I even like you at all? Of course I do. What did I say? Oh, are you talking to? Also, Neo Blood Haze. Somehow, I don't know what it is. When you come in with this new name, it's it doesn't trigger in my brain, even though you got the shield. I'm just used to seeing your old name. When did this start? I mean, yeah, I think that was me that told you I brought my kid the other day for a minute, but that's... Wait, what? When did that start? I mean, yeah, I think it was... Well, you know what? Honestly, I say that and I'll be honest with you, I don't actually know if I actively try not to swear. I think I might have just made that up in my head. I got a portal in my kitchen. It's called an air fryer. It's a portal of chicken nuggets to my mouth. Hell yeah, bro. 30 to 40 chicken nuggets are constantly swimming around in my gutty works. So the people who are afraid of dogs, I have a major cynophobia for a long time, and it took me a long time to get over. Most fears can be overcome. Joel, do you fart with me? Oh, I fart with you. Should I change it back, Joel? Be honest. I thought you were like either hiding from someone or like creating a YouTube channel or something like that on that account. I didn't know what you were doing. I mean, I don't care. You know, you do whatever you want, but I will remember. That's what I always think when people say, like, do you FW me? I was like, do you want me to fart on you? It's been a long time since I've been here. Hi, Joe. Last time I was here, I was married. Now I'm not. Oh, fuck, dude. I'm so sorry to hear that. Can you tell me what happened? I actually would like to know so I can be scared about it. Our question was answered when the hedge bordering my front yard was set ablaze in the middle of the night. The next morning, after a sleepless night and some wonderful aid from the fire department, I was met with another insane note claiming that this was a taste of what we were to expect. Now, obviously, I informed the cops at this point. They took all the notes for evidence just in case they could find any trace fingerprints, and I made photocopies before the cops took them and decided enough was enough. I was going to confront the leader of the neighborhood watch, a man I'd thus far completely avoided, and his name is Samuel. Now, with Mike as backup, we went storming over to Samuel's house. Now, the wind was knocked out of our sails a little when the door was answered by his adorable daughter who invited us in. And then Samuel's wife offered us hot drinks and cookies, and it was like cultural whiplash. Eventually, Samuel arrived home from his round of golf and sent the family away. We confronted him with the letters, angrily thrusting them right at his face, and we hit him with everything. How the neighbors had made us all feel unwelcome, how this kind of insanity was not the type of thing a neighborhood watch should be engaging in, and we asked if the organization was even registered with the local police or officials in any way. All the while, Samuel was just sitting there, quietly taking in our rage as he read over the notes. Now, when he was done, he looked at us with a face as pale as a ghost, and to his credit, he admitted that he and the neighbors had felt like myself, Mike, and his wife had not been the best fit for the neighborhood. He admitted that the pamphlets were sent there intentionally. Maybe if you had kept listening to Joel, you'd still be married now. No, I'm sorry. Joel, you should be able to say whatever the frick you want. It's today's society that doesn't approve, which is BS. Freedom of speech, no? Fuck yeah, dude. America, baby. Fuck them. Fuck them to hell. Fuck them right in their pussies. Bro, my neighbor has been a real pain lately. She was yelling threats at my husband yesterday. Damn, dude, why? Oh, God, I saw this, dude, I saw, a terrible video on the internet that was real bad. Probably shouldn't even tell you guys about it, it's so bad. But basically, the guy, for some reason, this one couple, cross the street couple, had an argument with, this dude. He's, in his 30s. He's Joel age. He's getting up there. And, I think he had lost his wife to cancer, previously. And then this couple was just, super mouthy about something. And it's kind of weird because, arguments with neighbors kind of remind me of how people get with, cars. Where, for some reason, you're, chilling, you're casual. Someone cuts you off and suddenly you're in, a family, blood feud. And in this case, it was similar where they were just, arguing with each other in the street. That guy who's, in his 30s, lost his wife, says, I'm going to, Like, it's like some sort of altercation where they get pushed or whatever, and he's like, I'm going to go get a gun. So he does, and he comes back out with the gun, and they're like, oh yeah, pussy, I fucking dare you, whatever. And then, you know, he shoots the husband and kills the husband. And then the weirdest thing was the wife, like, doesn't, like, react like screaming. She just continues to, like, talk shit even though her husband is just deaded. And then she gets killed and whatever. And then the guy goes in and shoots himself in the head in his house. And it's just like, holy fuck, dude. So anyways, long story short, be careful arguing with your neighbors, because you never know if their, you know, wife just died of cancer and they're like ready to kill you. That video's fake, nothing's real if it upsets me. That's fair. This one's fake. And it's just 9/11. She has the one that's unleashed and it's charged at my husband and our little boy when they were outside, and my husband called the cops so he could get a handle. She has violated several. Oh, okay, yeah, fuck him. In Minecraft. All of this is in Minecraft. Do you think girl who curse are unattractive? No, I like swear words. I think they're cool. Mother frickin' flipper butt. Joe Mario or Luigi pool, unless you're still in a blood feud with Nintendo. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's actually a good question. Like, do you like Mario or Luigi? Mario or Luigi? Luigi board. Because that is a good question. I actually kind of fart with Luigi a little more. You know, for a guy like me, sometimes swear words just start feeling normal. Hey, Jeremy, thank you for the 2, bro. Fist pump, man. Bro fist. PewDiePie. Ungrateful, not work together as a family. They took everything for granted. I got sick and they didn't even... Wait. Ungrateful, not work together as a family. They took everything for granted. I got sick. They didn't even care. I'm exhausted. I don't want to get any sicker. Alex Hugo has always loved you. Wait, you're... Oh, yeah, the divorce... Okay. Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. Damn. She stresses me out so much. One night, I literally thought that she was getting murdered, and it was just, her dog got out. Jeez. Did you ever see a picture of Swole Luigi? I remember seeing a picture of... I'm fairly certain there's a subreddit called, like, While Luigi Did 9/11 or something. And then you go there, and then it's just, like, pictures of Waluigi with, like, like a big boner. Have you guys seen this? Have you been to have you been to this subreddit? He admitted that the pamphlets were He admitted that the pamphlets that we were... What the cockfuck? He admitted that the pamphlets we were sent were intentionally hostile, that there were a number of neighbors, particularly the old folks, who like to keep things culturally insular. Now, I'd just like to reiterate at this point that this wasn't a regular sort of white thing. It wasn't even just a group of white people just trying to drive us out. It was a lot more complex than that, but I don't want to go into the whole story here due to the current events. I'll just leave it up to you to decide what I'm talking about, but it wasn't a case of random white people acting hostile towards BIPOC folk. It was weirder than that, which is all I'll say on the matter. Now back to Samuel. He swore blind on his faith and his family that he had no knowledge of these handwritten, threatening notes and had no idea who sent them. I believed him. He'd been so bluntly honest with us to that point that I had no reason not to. Now Mike was less convinced, but I managed to persuade him. Now the one thing that did disturb us both was that when Samuel said that he had an idea and that both Mike and I should be very, very careful. Wait, what? Jeremy, thank you again. And Dick Snatch with the 2 says, Joel, where is that wart vocal stem from? It's from Halo 1. It's one of the things that the Covenants say. Wart. Wooga wooga. And it's like I think something about the wart came from like the people who basically got the noise. They would do stuff and then like play it backwards, and then that became like the language of the covenant, or a certain covenant, like the elites and stuff. But then somebody, I forget who it is, comes in here every stream and types wart out, and I gotta say it. Would a crazy neighbor story make it into a video? Because boy, do I have a story. Yeah, well, yeah, definitely send one in. Let's read submissions at gmail.com. Luigi Mangione? Nah, man. No love for anarchy here. I don't remember that, but I remember that robot chicken skit wherein Mario and Luigi went to Vice City and San Andreas. The one thing that did disturb us both was when Samuel said he had an idea and that both Mike and I should be very, very careful. He asked if there was any way we could escalate our move. When we told him there wasn't and that we were locked in for the next 6 weeks, Samuel told us to leave everything with him. I remember the horrible man Elijah Alright, we're still good. I think we can beat this whole game, aka this series of narrations, before midnight. We got another half hour here. Remember the old man Elijah who I mentioned earlier? Well, he died of a heart attack 3 days after we confronted Samuel, and the note stopped. The neighbors started being more friendly towards us, so much so in fact that some of them went out of their way to bring Mike and I these delicious food dishes, and Samuel invited us for dinner multiple times. Mike was still suspicious and didn't accept the invites, and I can't blame him, given how they treated his wife and her subsequent death. But, wait. Wasn't the neighbor's name Devin, who died? I thought the black guy's name was Devin, that he was like he like befriended a black guy named Devin. And then he befriended another Persian named Mike, whose fucking wife died. I had no idea he was actually belonged to the neighbor watch group, but almost befriended. He was a black guy who lived in the neighborhood until his wife tragically passed a couple of years ago. Did they mix the people up? Like, I'm fucking confused. This is weird. Hey, Justin, what's up, buddy boy? Oh, your handle is back. Did they take it from you? Joel, let me suggest these 5 stories, 71 stories of acephaly horror, sacred atrocity, 2, mastication, 3, the human obscene, 4, the curfew. Anyways, I guess we'll just keep reading. I don't know what the fuck happened in this story. Just like rambling on and on. Anyways, sorry. Mike was still suspicious and didn't accept the invites. I can't blame him given how they treated his wife and her subsequent death, but I at least tried to play nice with Samuel. Mike was still suspicious and didn't accept invites, but I at least tried. God damn it. God damn it. Mike's garage got broken into? Dude, I don't even know. I feel like I don't even know what even happened in this story. It's almost over. Mike was still suspicious and didn't accept invites, but I at least tried to play nice with Samuel. Mostly I was curious to dig into what might have happened with Elijah. Samuel never let anything slip. He was a very slippery, intelligent character, but he dropped enough hints for me to know that Elijah had been the one sending the notes, and that maybe, just maybe, his little heart attack had been a lot more convenient than coincidental. All in all, it was like living in Twin Peaks or the Twilight Zone. I was extremely happy to get out of there with Mike. Now, I stayed with him for around 6 months before moving into a place of my own with a wonderful woman that I met in Frisco, who I'm now proud to call my wife. We live in the city, and Mike lives nearby, and there's absolutely no official neighborhood watch to speak of. We all just look out for each other and act like good neighbors to each other. And that's all you really need, right? And that's all you need, really. The rest can work under the right circumstances, but when a group of people like our former neighborhood watch get together, there's a danger that it can spawn folks like Elijah who take things way too far, or people like Samuel who in many ways were the most chilling characters of them all, even if his actions might have saved us in the end. Frankly, I just don't want to meet any of them again, or any of their ilk. I'm pretty happy with my diverse melting pot of city neighbors, thank you very much. Just say damn it without the God, you'll thank me later. Okay. I'm back again to thank you for the advisement. Literally, I thought he was one of those AI voices. Did you really? Even with the big human voice? I gotta see if this story here, I'm gonna put it, speaking of AI, I'm gonna put it into AI to see if it has that, like, if there's something, if I'm stupid, because I feel like reading this, son of a bubblegum chewer. Now that's racist. You should do scary stories from each state or scary stories from Ohio, stuff like that. Heck yeah. Okay. But after they start, yeah, I don't understand. We had like Devin, and then it like became Mike. I don't know. Hey Joe, if Mr. Beast were to invite you in a competition, would you go? Probably not, I guess. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't really want to, like, jump around like a monkey for the entertainment of people and then still lose. Yeah, whatever. This one was kind of strange. I'm not really sure how to, like, fix this. Whatever. Anyways, GG, go next. Dance, monkey, dance. Who was talking about udon noodles and making spicy peanut butter noodles? So that sounds good. Greetings from New England. Thank you, Melissa. Good to see you. Greetings. Hope you filed your taxes. I did, bro. Yeah. Anyways. So I used to be part of a neighborhood watch group, and I witnessed to absolute... It's my favorite vid I made. Probably the Sasquatch videos one. It's one of the higher performing ones. I really should just like make like top 10, go back and make top 10 videos of just bullshit, because those seem to do well on YouTube. I mean, I don't know about it anymore. Back in the day, they really did. Yeah, taxes fucking suck, man. You just like write these huge checks and just hope they don't send it to Jeffrey Epstein. I used to be part of a neighborhood watch group, and I was witness to an absolutely crazy, kind of creepy incident that sticks with me to this day. We live on a street just on the outskirts of a small town which has a higher than average crime rate. Our street itself has always been pretty lucky, avoiding being the focus of the town's worst offenders. There was the occasional attempted break-in, some power tools stolen from a few garden sheds, but that was really it. Now, that was before this spate of car vandalism. Almost every morning we'd wake up to discover one of our cars had been keyed, or the wing mirrors. Almost every morning, we'd wake up to discover one of our cars had been keyed or the mirrors had been slashed off. Now, in a couple of cases, the badges on the front of the couple of cars had been stolen. Now, this was back when that was a lot easier to do. One of the neighbors owned a Mercedes, and I swear his badge must have been stolen 3 times over the course of a year or so, even after we put paid to the worst of... What the fuck am I reading? Even after we put paid to the worst of the... I don't fucking know. This was back when there was a lot easier to do. One of the neighbors owned a Mercedes, and I swear his badge must have been stolen 3 times over. So when's your next police private investigator stories come out? Definitely look into it for sure. I mean, it might be in the works somewhere. Who knows? Hey Joel, if you had to choose between SpongeBob and all the money in my pocket, which would it be? I wouldn't mind peeking around your pocket a little bit, seeing what's in there. What'd you put in your pocket? Let me see it. Pull it out. Atsuko Genke, greetings from Belgium. Love your channel, especially the more supernatural stories. Would love to see more of those. Absolutely, Atsuko. Thank you. Joel has been burned out. Yeah, I do feel a little bit burned out tonight. I don't know why. I'm just like... Guys, would you guys hate me if I started a sleepy time tea company? Like, would you actually think I'm a piece of shit? Or would that be kind of cool? I think I had editors to grammar correct these stories. I mean, I guess they don't catch everything, sadly. They do the best of their abilities, but I mean, everybody gets tired and lazy, right? You would definitely get the tea. I feel like it would be a solid thing, you know? Justin, would you drink my tea? My spiked tea. You buy that immediately. Okay. Sleepy and scary time. Scary time tea. Or, yeah, what would we call it? It'd have to be something spooky related, dude. Checks out, most YouTubers graduate to snacks or beverages after they have t-shirts and hoodies. Yeah, that's true, right? But I feel like it would actually be like a business that within the niche could then be transitioned over to like advertising on other channels to get, you know what I mean? But like, how the hell I would need like a producer of this tea, right? Like where I get most of my product. And then I wonder if I'd have to sit and like hold the product for like a long time in certain areas. And then how do you prevent the product from growing mold? Spooky time tea. That's brilliant, actually. It'd be the only tea that's got like little horror related bullshit on it. And then I was thinking we could add like little playing cards or some type of maybe like collectible tarot cards or some shit inside of it. Would that be too occult, do you think? Do you think God would be pissed at me? Just use lawn clippings. I think that would be fine. I'm gonna creep tea. Oh, creep tea would be good. Creepy time tea. Well, that's maybe too close to the sleepy time tea. I don't know. Basically, it just needs to have like shit to knock your ass out, and then me to sneak into your room while you're out. Just kidding. But yeah, imagine if like think about that. Like if every pack had some type of like collectible tarot card in it, and then if you got the cool one, you got to come over to come over to the house and hang out. Just kidding. Revive the East India Company. That's true. Spooky tea with CBD. That'd be good. How the hell do you make this stuff, though? How do you make tea? I wonder if I could work with someone. You should be able to find a large manufacturer to make an agreement with them for purchasing inventory. Marie, I like where your head's at. You're hired as CEO. Did you ever listen to Duncan Trussell? I never have, no. You dry some herbs. That's true. I'm gonna have to wander into the forest and find some shit. The coroner's tea. I actually started somewhat of a tea company soon. Maybe someday we could collab. Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, I don't, I just think I feel like it could pop off. If you get the right one, you get the right. I mean, really, what it comes down to is promotion. Everybody wants like a little. I mean, there's a million different like sleepy time cocoa bullshits, right? How do you market it to the right people, though, right? And have to be part of like just the big I mean, you could really do it in any of the communities, just a bunch of different communities, because like a lot of people just use shit to fall asleep all the time. Tea isn't a joke. It'll juice you if you don't succeed. It's true. They'll turn me into the tea, smush me down, dry me out, dop me. Reading tea leaves. Each package has submitted story printed on it. Oh, that'd be cool. And then on the back it says, I started this tea company with one goal in mind. Eventually getting so rich that I could move to Vietnam and do drugs and get STDs. And I achieved that dream back when I conceived it in 1995. I did this for my mother. Joel should get that get into the coffee because another channel watching is killing on coffee. I'm sure you know who they are. You sure I know who they are? I don't know. I mean, there's so many fucking random, peeps. But I feel like tea seems legit. That was a past job they used to do. I was a nurse. I was a door guy at a bar. I worked at a grocery store. I was a gigolo. How many stories do you get do you actually believe happen? How many are just bullshit? These all happened to me yesterday. Every story on the channel. You made doors for bars? Yeah, I was the door guy. I was the door guy. I would just stand there and pretend to be the door, and people would swing me open to like walk in. When there was like a heavy draft or, any sort of like storm, it was kind of awkward because I'd have to sit there and protect everyone from rain. Oh man, okay, let's see if I can understand this sentence at all. One of the neighbors owned a Mercedes, and I swear his badge must have been stolen 3 times over the course of a year or so, even after we put paid to the worst of the vandals. Is this a phrase, put paid? I don't understand. You know what? I'm just gonna throw it into the grammar thresher. Come on. Hey Joel, so I listened to this overnight at work. First break at 8:30, and I call my wife and children 8:33 to 8:40. So can you just like stop the stories from 8:30 to 8:40? That would be great. Oh, like on the live stream. I guess you could pause it. Wait, do you want me to talk to them on the phone? I could do my best. Hello, sweetheart. I'll pretend to be you. Hello, sweetheart. What is you and my loving family up to? Are we going to collect Are we going to get new storm windows later? Are we going to get shingles together as a family at Home Depot? It's our child's favorite store, Home Depot. Can you imagine a kid? Imagine if you had a kid and their favorite fucking store was Home Depot. Just from a young age. What a kid that would be. What a kid. They call him Bob the Builder. It was yours. Hell yeah. I guess there are, like, it does smell interesting in there with, like, the outdoors section, and then the birds are cool to look at. Do I live in the States? Yeah. Okay, anyways. One of the neighbors owned a Mercedes, and I swear his badge must have been stolen 3 times over the course of a year or so, even after we put a stop to the worst of the vandalism. Now, the vandalism is what spurred us on to start taking the neighborhood watch duties seriously. We spoke to local law enforcement, asked for the best tips we could, befriended a community officer, and got a direct line to the local station. And they also agreed to send a patrol into our cul-de-sac as many nights as possible. Now, not to belittle our boys in blue, but I don't think I ever actually saw a cop patrolling our street. I guess in fairness, they did have better things to do, like preventing murders and violent stuff in the city, so it's not like I hold it against them. And that's what the neighborhood watch was for anyway. The vandalism continued though, so about 5 or 6 of us guys volunteered to take night duty until the vandal was caught. Now surely, if we spent the next night watching the small cul-de-sac, we'd catch that person or multiple people in the act. Now that's what you'd think anyway. And yet somehow, after a couple of weeks of vigilance, we didn't spot a single suspicious character. And yet the vandalism continued. It was like the culprit was Spec Ops or a ghost or something crazy. But what kind of Spec Ops soldier spends his time commando? Roofie tea? Roofie tea, yeah. This one's really gonna knock you out. It's called Roofie Tea. You're not gonna remember a thing. Talk to Dr. No Sleep. What's he gonna do to me? But what kind of Spec Ops soldier spends his time army crawling along the ground keying cars? I wish I could offer an explanation of who did it and how, but that was still something we never discovered. Instead, this vandalizer decided to retire himself and go out with a bang. There had been a car parked at the end of our cul-de-sac for what seemed like forever. It had clearly been abandoned there, and a number of us neighborhood watch members had stuck flyers all over the car, pleading with the owner to just move along. All the tires had deflated by this point naturally, and the paintwork was incredibly rusty. Now, we called the city council about it multiple times, but nothing was ever done. In the end, it just became sort of a staple of the street. We called the car Christine, after the Stephen King story, because it had the vague air of being haunted, or at least kind of sinister. Now one night, it was my turn on night watch, and I was just working on my laptop looking out the window when I noticed a glow coming from the end of the cul-de-sac. My house was in the middle, so I had to look around to see exactly what it was. Immediately, I realized Christine was on fire from the inside. I ran outside, careful not to get too close, and these flames were just picking up inside of Christine's seats, but I couldn't immediately see a broken window or any way that the fire could have actually been started inside the car. I called the cops on my cell phone, so I'm glad I paused to do so, because moments later, Christine exploded outward. It wasn't the kind of huge epic explosion you might see in the movies or expect from Call of Duty or something. I guess in part this was because the car had been sitting there for so long without any gas that there wasn't too much fuel to actually explode. It was enough to send pieces of some shrapnel and glass into the road and into the... It was enough to send pieces of shrapnel flying into the road or pieces of glass into the car parked near Christine, though, and it would certainly have been strong enough to cause me some serious damage if I'd actually approached like I had planned to. And soon the cops showed up, as did the fire department, and the vehicle's blaze was extinguished. Over the next few days, we learned that the fire had definitely been arson. A small hole had been drilled through the glass of one of Christine's windows, a tiny little bit of accelerant had been poured through it, and then someone had fanned... Had it right, it's gotta be Let's Sleep tea. Yeah, Let's Sleep would be good. Let's Sleep. Atsuko Genkei with a 6. Thank you, friend. Appreciate you. Very kind. You guys are popping off tonight. Oh, man. I do kind of wish I streamed later, to be honest with you, because I do miss the late night streams. There's something a little less, even though it's only a few hours, there's something more informal about the night owls, Joel, it's I when it's Kai, not A. What are we talking about? Oh, Genkai. Genkei. Genge. Gengar. A small hole had been drilled through the glass. Oh yeah, here we go. Joel, you could partner with Stash Teas. Also, police don't prevent crime. They stop it or investigate it after it happens. Crime prevention is illusion. Yeah. Fucking hell, mate. Team with yeah, honestly, I feel like that would probably be the most efficient thing, is like having like a strategic partnership with like a tea for just like promotional purposes. But man, it would be interesting to break into the realm of like actual teas. But how do you do it? You need to have like a warehouse or some shit, like a big witch's cauldron that you sit all day at and just spin with a big ladle. Wormswort. Why would you put wormswort into the tea? Sleepy tea with cannabis. That might be interesting. It might not be available in your state. I gotta cook me. I am tea time. Be ready. You're gonna put your little essence is gonna put everyone to sleep. A small hole had been drilled through the glass of one of Christine's windows. A tiny bit of accelerant had been poured through it, and then someone had fed a burning rag into the car. Now finally, the cops and the city council put up some effort into tracking Christine's owner, and this went absolutely nowhere. As it turned out, the license plate was just completely fake, registered to no vehicle on record, and the only thing they were able to trace was the engine, which belonged to a totally different, much older car that had been supposedly scrapped many years before. Now, there's no way Christine would have been able to drive at all with that engine installed, and the whole thing was just some mystery. Nobody had any idea when the car had turned up or what the purpose of all of it really was. Had the vandalism been some kind of preamble in order to burn Christine for some purpose? Some of us half expected the cops to find a charred body in the trunk, but there was nothing like that. The wreckage of the car got towed, and from that day forward, the vehicular vandalism just kind of stopped. Various other things happened with the neighborhood watch since then. I confronted a burglar. One of my neighbors helped the cops arrest an offender on the run, and one of my neighbors helped the cops arrest an SA offender on the run, and we successfully chased off a gang of drug dealers who'd started operating on the corner. But nothing ever came close to being as puzzling and mysterious or creepy as that series of vehicular vandalism and the mysterious Christine, the impossible car. Now, it's been nearly a decade since then, and I still think about it from time to time. At the very least, I wish I knew who had been responsible for the vandalism and how they'd been able to slip under my nose quite so successfully. But I guess some mysteries just never end up getting solved. The butt burglar stole all my poop from my poop butt. Has anyone ever played Poppy Playtime? Me. Poopy Playtime. Isn't there like 4 of those now? Joel, I love chicken sandwiches. Hell yeah, dude. Chicken Sammy. Sammy's chicken. Oh, Dr. No Sleep can show you the ins and outs of selling tea. He does coffee. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, honestly, I've heard of his channel, like in the sense that it's like, there's the No Sleep podcast and then Dr. No Sleep. But I wonder how Dr. No Sleep's YouTube channel does. Let us see. Oh, he's pretty big. Oh, does he animates all of his shit? Interesting. He seems to animate all of his videos. That's kind of impressive. 3 true lockdown horror stories animated. Doesn't seem to get a ton of views on it, but... Interesting. Alright. Joe, I did squats with weights and my thighs hurt. Let's go, dude. Keep doing it. Keep going, and eventually you're gonna love it. Joel, what would you like from San Francisco? Maybe like a used needle or a little bit of poop off the ground. Or a needle dipped in poop. Joel, honestly, here in Pennsylvania, I'm sure you could go to your local cafe that has their own brand of coffee and they could set up something. Yeah, but I want to make my own, you know? I want to go into my shed and just start putting together a fucking wizard's concoction and then make $1 trillion from it. Be nice and proud about it, too. I'm frying some good old chicken right now with all the fixins. Oh, the fixins. Yeah, get us the fixins. Have you guys seen Eastbound and Down? If you've never seen the show Eastbound and Down, it is so funny, man. It is a funny fucking show. All the fixins. Yeah. It's a great show. But then I guess there's one with him too where he's like a mega church pastor or something like that. I didn't even know that show existed, and it's already like 4 seasons in and like over. Can a fella get some rolls? Can we get some rolls over here? Look up apothecary in your area and ask some questions about teas. Ah, yes, I will go to the Wizards Guild up north. Okay, here we go. Grief can do some strange things to people. That's what I was always told, anyway. My mom first told me that when one of my high school friends lost her sister and started dressing up and acting like her. My mom first told me that when one... Oh, okay. I see. Fixins. Joel, I miss my friends. Who's your friends? Where do they go? Have they passed on? Guys, if you could start a business, what business would you do? Like, honestly. Like, let's get real. Honestly, what business could you guys do? Food truck. You're gonna sell falafel. Personal shopping. What's personal shopping? Like somebody personally shops for you? Not a gym. Good idea. Gun store. That would be pretty solid. Honestly, I don't know. Mega church, poop factory. I would be a Twitch streamer, play video games forever, but girl streamers get bullied so bad. I mean, everybody gets bullied, right? In fact, I would say a lot of the girl streamers like say some of the stupidest shit, and then they just kind of get away with it. I would actually say most girl streamers are like, or most girl content creators are like not held to the same standard of anything ever at all within the content creation space. Like they can just kind of like say things and everybody's like, yeah, makes no sense, but sure. I'm a soap maker. I have my biz. That's cool. Plant nursery, a coffee shop with chickens. KFC ain't got nothing on me, dude. A farm selling foot picks, heck yeah. Avery After Dark. My dad constantly wants to open a restaurant because of my mom's cooking. It just seems like such a headache running those. There's like such a small margin of profit. Be better off selling precious gems. OnlyFans for Justin. Am I done reading? No, we got one more story here. Movie critic would be fun, yeah. My mom first told me that when one of my high school friends lost her sister and started dressing up... What the fuck? My mom first told me that when one of my high school friends lost her sister and started dressing up and acting like her sister. It made sense to me then, and I went out of my way to befriend her. Now, we're still close BFFs to this day, incidentally, and that's relevant to the story because she's a bit of a Let's Read fangirl, and she's the one who encouraged me to write in with this tale. Now, don't worry, she won't mind that I've included the personal little bit about her. She's proofreading and approving the whole thing, by the way. Now, this incident happened when I was 19. I've taken a year out after high school before going to college so I could work and put together some savings to avoid my student loans from being sky high. It didn't really work, but at least I tried. Now, this was back in I think maybe 2012 when Facebook was still really popular. We had a local neighborhood watch. I wasn't really a member as such. I didn't go to meetings or get involved, but I was their honorary mascot, which meant that I was a member of the Facebook group. Now, one day, I logged on to find the group totally abuzz. A whole bunch of the neighbors had witnessed something straight out of a horror movie, apparently. As the previous night, an elderly woman had been walking up and down the street, pushing an industrial-style shopping cart. No harm done, right? Well, the shopping cart contained a full-sized coffin. And she wasn't just walking down the street once. She was walking down the street, disappearing for a while, and then walking back the way she came. One of the neighbors, a night owl guy that I knew, his name was James, decided to follow her at a distance. He discovered that she had been walking in a circle around a few blocks and then turning around at a certain point and repeating the circuit in reverse. Everyone's posts were rife with speculation. Why was she carting a coffin around? Was that even legal? Apparently it looked like a fairly battered, dirty coffin, and some of the theories were wild. Now, it took me, a 19-year-old girl, to provide a grounded suggestion. It was a Halloween prop. It was the start of October, so it wasn't out of the ordinary. Now, James immediately shot my idea down. I hadn't seen her. Why would this extremely elderly lady be walking a circuit around the block with a spirit Halloween coffin in a shop? Bakery rad. Yo, what's with the commercial of the black dude running a BBQ joint foot massage parlor? I never heard of it. Yeah, Justin, what are you doing in San Francisco? Or what I like to call Frisco. Getting frisked in Frisco. Making carbon fiber car parts and frames for older cars. Electric may be the future, but EVs and cars in general today are boring. I think there's some money to be made if you combine the two, but... Wart. An animated creepypasta, true crime, and podcast. Animated creepypasta, true crime, and podcast. Nice. Eastbound and Down is great. Damn, I feel like a lot of my chat's always like super far behind. I can never quite tell why that is. Why would this extremely elderly lady be walking a circuit around the block with a spirit Halloween coffin in a shopping cart? That's a good point, James, but had he considered dementia? Maybe the old lady lived on the next street over and she was suffering from sundown syndrome, which causes dementia sufferers to start acting weird right after nightfall. It was as good an explanation as any. But whatever. It had happened. It had happened, it was over, and I guess we'd never know, I said. But wrong. I was very wrong. And the next night, The old woman was back, walking her little loops, and this time, James called me up. Now, I'm sure he'd been waiting for an excuse to call me. The guy actually did have a crush on me since middle school, and he told me to look out my window. Now, sure enough, the old woman was there, and she was really, really old. I was amazed that she had the strength to push a shopping cart around at all, let alone one with a coffin in it. And she wasn't pushing it slowly either. She was striding around like a woman half her age. Now, one thing I noticed that nobody else had seemed to pick up on was that this coffin really did not look like some Spirit Halloween prop. If so, it was the most realistic prop I'd ever seen, and it looked a lot more like a film or TV prop than anything else. At least it couldn't be a real coffin, could it? Now, this whole fiasco went on for another few days. I was on vacation from work, so I was happy to play night owl for a while, and then, that Sunday night, the elderly woman didn't show up. I breathed a sigh of relief. Perhaps this was the end of it. No. The next day, Monday, she was back, and I couldn't help but notice that the coffin was starting to look a little worse for the wear. It had been raining almost constantly for a week, mostly some light rain, but heavier in the daytime, and I wondered if she'd been storing the coffin outside because it certainly looked like the wood was starting to get mold and splinter a little bit. Now, Tuesday came and went, and I saw her again. Now, the old woman was starting to Hey, Illusion, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Do I have sundown? You got the zoomies. Do you have a 30-second delay on? I know gamers do that. Maybe you got it. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong about this, but I low-key feel like YouTube has just kind of given up on streaming. I don't think there's been any sort of notable increases to really anything about it. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But I don't know. Well, let's look into it. But I gotta understand your sleep and work schedule. Yes. Oh shit, I actually have to probably get off here. I guess we're almost done. YouTube has continued investing heavily in live streaming, especially over the last 1 to 2 years, 2025, 2026. The investments aren't just infrastructure. They're mostly focused on creator tools, monetization, making live content more discoverable. Major platform upgrades on YouTube Live. In 2025, YouTube rolled out what is called the largest live streaming update ever. Oh, okay, I guess I'm just full of shit. Alright, some of the key upgrades include dual format streaming. Creators who stream horizontal and vertical simultaneously to stream, so works on TVs and phones at the same time. Practice mode before going live, so creators can test audio, video live privately. React Live, creators can live stream themselves reacting to other live content or videos. AI-generated highlights automatically turn live stream moments into short clips. Oh. This is meant to increase life cycle live streams so that they produce short-form content afterwards. New monetization tools, side-by-side ads, members-only live stream switching during broadcasts, live engagement features like gifting and better ad timing. Discovery and algorithm support. Live streams are promoted in Live Now shelves on the homepage recommendations. Over 30% of logged-in viewers watch live content queue. Okay. YouTube is already the largest live stream platform. By 2025, YouTube has 47% of global live streaming hours watched outside of China. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm just silly. He's a slug. Bunch of slugs. Good night, Crunch. Take care. Thanks, beautiful sunshine. You're correct. Lost everything that... Oh, sorry. Spill the tea brand tea, but... Spill the Tea Brand Tea by Joel E. Haverfield. It's tea that comes with a random fun fact in the bag. It comes with Justin's coordinates and cell phone number. China tea. Okay. Anyways, maybe I'll just do nothing exciting forever and stay the same. Never change. Hey, you see ya, Caroline. Take care. Tuesday came and went, and I saw her again. Now the old woman was starting to Tuesday came and went, and I saw her again. Now the old woman was starting to fall apart. I really started to pay attention to her appearance. She looked almost confused and scared. Her gait, which had been strong to start with, was really starting to falter, and I was beginning to be more and more convinced that this was dementia. Now, the rest of the neighborhood watch seemed hesitant to get involved, even James. I think he even spooked them out a little. When I kept insisting that we should do something, the adults kept telling me to leave it. She wasn't doing any harm, and there must be a good explanation for it. Now, a far cry from the first night which had set the whole of the neighborhood watch... What the flurp? Now, a far cry from the first night which had set the whole of the neighborhood watch abuzz. On Wednesday, the woman was really struggling. I'd become used to her role by now, and by my reckoning, it was taking her about twice as long to do her route. Now on Thursday, she was struggling even further because one of the wheels on her shopping cart had gone all gimpy, and she really had to struggle to keep it straight. On Friday night, I decided I was going to go outside and actually approach her. Now, my parents were away for the weekend. I didn't tell anyone about what I was going to do, as she was an elderly woman who must have been in at least her mid-80s. What was the worst she could do? And so I left my house shortly before I knew that she'd show up, and pretended I was outside having a smoke, and I bumped into her by complete accident. Now, it was very clear to me that she was confused. Confused. What's the scariest stories in this channel? Maybe like the deep web, or like the ghost ones. Or yeah, Appalachian mountain ones are good. We gotta check Justin's newest PFP. Wait. Justin's name is Neo Bloodhaze? I thought that was Babes. Am I what? Dude, my bad. Wait, Justin, so you were in here this whole time as Neo Bloodhaze? I swear to God, I thought that was... It's you the whole time. Oh my God. It's like pulling the mask off a Scooby-Doo monster. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know what's going on. You guys confuse me with your ever-changing identities. I've got dementia. It was very clear to me that she was confused. She kept calling me Gloria, which isn't even slightly my name, but eventually I managed to persuade her to open up, and the story she told me was heartbreaking and tragic. The old woman used to live somewhere around here with her husband many years ago. He'd passed sometime in the 80s, and they'd frequently gone for evening walks around the block, and she had it in her mind that if she started taking those long walks again, she might be able to reconnect with him. At first, her story brought me to tears. The whole thing was just so tragic, and she reminded me so much of my great-gran who... At first, her story brought me to tears. The whole thing was so tragic, and she reminded me much of my great-grandma who had succumbed to Alzheimer's when I was younger, and I wanted to hug the old woman, who told me her name was Ethel, but it felt like it'd be intrusive. Now, I was so focused on the story that she told me that I almost forgot about the coffin itself, and suddenly it struck me. She was walking the neighborhood to reconnect with her husband, but she was carting this coffin around. It couldn't be, could it? I allowed myself to actually look at the coffin. Now, I'd been avoiding looking the whole time, as I suspected that the wood had started rotting into places, and there were a couple of holes in the coffin lid that had led me into the interior. Thankfully, I couldn't see much, but I could see enough. There definitely was some type of bones in that coffin. My hands started shaking, and I told Ethel to wait where she was because I wanted to help her, and then I stepped away a little, called 911 and whispered to the dispatch about what was happening. I told them that if they send the cops, please don't send them with sirens because she was a very old, vulnerable woman and I didn't want to give her a heart attack or anything. However, it wasn't Ethel who risked having a heart attack. When I turned back to comfort her... Son of a bitch, dude. Most of the stories Joel goes over to be solved with the good old force multiplier, so they don't scare me mostly. I'm just here for the live stream with Joel and Chad. That's good to hear. Thank you. Hey, see you, Chris. Take care, dude. Good luck being a dad. Straight up unk, for real, for real. Ethel farted dust. I thought you knew me better at this point. I'm hurt. I vaguely recall, like, last stream, I thought it was one of the girl moderator. I don't fucking know. My brain is broken, bro. V-R-O. However, it wasn't Ethel who risked having a heart attack. When I turned back to comfort her, I was absolutely horrified to see that she had opened the coffin. Years in the ground had not done her husband justice. It was mostly bones, with patches of shriveled skin in places. His clothes had all rotted off, and one thing that stuck with me was that his scalp was partially intact, and strands of hair hung down one side of his skeletal face. I almost screamed then and ran, but I didn't want to startle Ethel. She seemed so proud to be showing off her husband, as if opening the coffin to show me had suddenly reunited her with her beloved. It's very strange, this feeling of terror and revulsion and grief and sympathy all at once, but I can safely say that I've experienced that combination. I talked to Ethel for a few minutes, trying to keep my eyes off the corpse next to us, which holy hell did it reek. When the cops pulled in, without the sirens on as I requested, and I was unbelievably relieved. Everything was quiet, controlled chaos after that. They took poor Ethel away in a police car and she stayed fully silent. They called a coroner to come for the coffin and the body, and meanwhile, it all suddenly hit me and I started shivering and convulsing in shock, so I was actually carted off to a hospital eventually. It turned out that Ethel's husband's coffin had been stolen 5 years ago. Ethel was 93 at the time that I met her. It was very clear to all of us that an 88-year-old woman was not capable of exhuming a coffin and transporting it out of a graveyard. Whoever helped her has, as far as I'm aware, still never been identified. Ethel fell into a catatonic state. When you scare your cat so much with a trash bag, they go into a kitty-tonic state. Dude, I'd be so good at writing like little Dilbert shorts in a fucking newspaper. Ethel fell into a catatonic state immediately following the events. She spent some months in a nursing home, during which I visited her at least twice a week. Now, eventually pneumonia took her, and I hope she's finally reunited with her husband, who I found out was named Clive. Thankfully, I was able to find some photos of him with Ethel in her room that her granddaughter had brought for her, and it was much better a way to picture Clive than the rotting, decomposing corpse he'd been when we first met. Now, I don't think I'll ever get that sight out of my head. It was horrific, tragic, and a terrifying series of events, but I did have for one heck of a story for the neighborhood. But it did make for one heck of a story for the Neighborhood Watch Facebook group. How come you don't post more stories, flood the market? What do you mean stories? What are you talking about? Some of us don't impulsively follow the whole chat flow. I don't remember chat people from a year ago before it all got gibbered up. Yeah, it's tough to keep up with it. Yes. Well, you should get to know each other, though, if you're new, Y'all can become bestie frenzies foreversies. Alright guys, listen. I think that was it. And I do have to head to bed here. Flood the market, homie. Like, you mean like making shorts or whatever? Alright. Here we go. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over at my email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations located anywhere you listen to the podcasts. Also, I have a true crime channel that nobody fucking listens to. Addicted to Let's Read. Thank you. It's Betty Bye time for Sleepy Boy. Best wishes, warmest regards, Doral. See you, Justin. Be safe, dude. Stay away from the needles of San Fran. Joel, for a reasonable split of 70-40, we could do Let's Read Rose and Ginseng, Wart, White Tea Chai, and Mischievous Dog Dandelion. That would be actually probably some good names that kind of make sense for tea. I def have a delay, but type in my commentary as soon as I find it. Oh, yeah, it's all good. Okay, here we go. The poop needle. Justin's going to San Francisco to get a poop needle. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. I also have a true crime channel called Saturn Soul. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, go to San Francisco to get yourself a poop needle. God, I feel like a poop needle would have like every disease you could possibly ever want, and like at the tip of an injector. What would be on, like, if you could think of all the diseases that would go on a poop needle, what would it be? AIDS, hepatitis B, hepatitis A. Wait. Which one's whenever you eat ass? Like, you know how, like, people eat ass and then it's like a really bad idea to do that because you could get poo particles in your mouth and then get hepatitis from it. Oh, it's hepatitis C. I was watching an old Mr. Ballin video the other day. He mentioned a twist of history with Joel. Lol, just Joel. Yeah, fucking whatever. Anyways, honestly, the Bay Area isn't that bad in my experience. I'm just joking around. That being said, filled to the brim, up to the waist level with poop needles. I've been mostly in the South Bay downtown. I do hear the Bay Area's nice, though. Alright, friends. Love and appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm going to get this up, edited over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access. But I hope everything, all your dreams come true, friends. Everything you can possibly ever imagine. I hope it occurs for you. But you gotta make it happen. You gotta do it. You gotta take life into the palm of your feet. And yeah, it's only $1 a month over on Patreon. Follow me on Instagram at Let's Read Official. Be kept up to date when I go live.
And I hope you all have an amazing night.
But yeah, watch the video right when it comes out on YouTube. That does really help to kind of get a push. Really appreciate you guys. Looks like people are slightly a bigger fan of Mario. Good to know. Good to keep that in the back of the noggin. Alright guys, love you, appreciate you. We'll see you probably this coming Sunday for another stream. So stay tuned. I shall be back. Bye-bye.